Uh, Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for the today's session, this banking examination preparation session. Actually, we are doing this series of workshop to support all the candidates who are sitting for the upcoming IBSL exams to give us some sort of support to get this done and how to prepare for the examination. So. අපි අද දවසේ මේ session එක ඔයාලට languages දෙකෙන්ම යනවා. We are going with the mixed languages. ඉතින් ඔයාලට ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න පුළුවන් ඕන දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් you can ask by unmute yourself or just put the question in the chat box. We are allowing that. If you have any doubts, you can ask then and there from the lecture. Without taking much of your time, let me introduce the lecturer for the today's session. Today's your lecturer will be the Mr. Shiran Harshavijana Padirana. So he's a undergraduate from the we graduated from the University of Pennsylvania and completed the LLM, and currently practicing as an instructing attorney, as well as he's attached to the APIIT as a part-time lecturer for the APIIT Law School. So Shiran, over to you. You can take this from on.
Thank you very much, Naveen. Hello, everyone. It's very good to have you here with us today. So as Naveen has correctly stated, I'll be using both languages, and I'm very sorry, I'm still working on Tamil, so no discrimination intended, but I will try my best to give you an idea about all these principles within the restricted amount of time that we have, and to also give an idea about what law is and what aspects of law that you should have an idea about. All right. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. This is not a usual. This is not like you have to just go and listen to a certain person for around 3 hours or something like that. Right. You can listen, you can learn, you should learn. And of course, you can ask questions. I have my pen ready and the books are here with me as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to do more sessions, like in the sense that more information I would be happy to provide you. If not today, tomorrow as well. So if you want a separate presentation on something, just keep me informed. I will try to give you a basic idea about various aspects regarding law, and I'll be referring to some questions here and there as well. Because obviously, when we have knowledge, we should be able to apply it as well. So we will consider some questions, and I will be referring to some questions that I have got from past papers, but as an institution, we don't think that it is ethical to discuss all the question papers without the authority of the institution. So I'll be referring to some questions, and I have created some questions for your reference as well. All right. සියලුම ප්‍රශ්න පත්‍ර කතා වෙන්නේ නැති වෙයි. මොකද අපි ආයතනයක් විදියට තවත් ආයතනයකින් අවසර ගන්න නැතුව සම්පූර්ණ ඒ ආයතනය විසින් ලබා දෙන විභාග ප්‍රශ්න පත්‍ර අපි ඒ අවසරයක් නැතුව කතා කරන එක ඒක එච්චරම ආචාර ධර්ම වලට පටහැනි කියලා තමයි අපි හිතන්නේ. ඒක නිසා, but don't worry, we will be discussing some of the questions, and I thank everyone who have helped us with getting the resources, and thank you very much for all who have organized this event as well. All right, so let us move on. Okay, let me just start off with a small thing, right? Don't worry, right? I'm going to have a presentation. You don't have to look at me throughout the 3 hours. Now, just have an idea about the law, right? Now, all of you can speak up, just interact, okay? No problem. You can just talk to me without any issues. Now, for this presentation, I'll be referring to you as friends, okay? So you are a friend, I'm your friend. So friends can have discussions without any issues, all right? So if you have any problems, just raise your hand. You don't even have to raise your hand, just unmute yourself and provide the question that you have directly to me. No issues whatsoever. I will give you the explanations that you need. Now, usually when we consider about law or legal systems, what kind of an idea do you have? Right? What kind of an idea do you have? Usually, the first thing that comes into your head would be the court system, which is, which appears to be very authoritative. It is authoritative. And you'll see these persons wearing black cloaks, right? And of course, you'll see these things, right? A lot of books and stuff. Yeah, that is basic. That is not basically it. That is a part of it, actually. When we consider about the law, it's a big system. right? It's a system which is there for a specific reason. All right. So we can identify that. We have to identify that. නීතිය කියන්නේ එක විදිහක ක්‍රමවේදයක්. ඒ ක්‍රමවේදයේ තියෙන ඇයි කියන එක අපි අඳුන ගන්න. So in today's lecture, I'll be considering that part, and I'll be referring to some other areas of law as well. So yes, it is a 3-hour session. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you to death, right? Don't worry. We will have a good discussion. So I invite you to talk, right? Ask questions, inquire about certain things. It can be practical questions. One small disclaimer, if you have seen court proceedings and things in some teledramas and all, those are not very accurate, okay? Especially the ones that are in the Hindi films. All right, so I'll be sharing some of my presentation that I have prepared, okay? One presentation with you now, so that you can refer to that as well. And while referring to that, listen to what I say. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask, right? Presentation එකක් තියෙනවා. බලන්න presentation එක කොහොමද කියලා. තියෙනේව කියවන්න, උත්සාහ කරන්න. ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබුණොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් අහන්න. I will explain. මම ඒ තියෙන දේවල් විස්තරාත්මකව පැහැදිලි කරලා දෙනවා. Right? All right. So we'll move on to the presentation and move on ahead with the lecture as well. All right. So here we go. All right. So no need of my introduction now. All right. So in preparing this note, okay, in preparing this set of slides, I have got a lot of information from different sources. All right. So I'm taking a moment out of your time as well to give credit to all the persons who have contributed to develop this specific set of slides for your reference. Okay. I have referred to various websites, various books, various other scholarly writing to come up with this presentation. So also another institution, including the Chartered Institute, right? So I have referred to various notes from different places to make this more friendly for you, right? Easy for you and convenient for you, all right? So I'm giving them credit, okay, for what they have done, for their work, from which I have got the inspiration to create this set of slides as well, all right? Okay. All right, now we are moving on to the content. What are we going to talk about today? Goodness, you have a very big syllabus, all right? But don't have any negative ideas in terms of the syllabus. You can do it. Have the positive kind of an idea that runs through your head, through yourself, that you can do it, all right? You can do it, don't worry. But today, I thought of discussing about certain areas of law, right? I have kept these specific banking aspects, like it can be parate executions, right? And the confidentiality when it comes to banking authorities and all. I have thought of keeping it for tomorrow, right? And also there are some other important things like money laundering. What do you mean by money laundering? We are going to learn about it in just a few minutes, all right? So today, mainly I will be focusing on, you know, various terms that can be really important for you when you are sitting for the examination. Okay, terms, විවිධ වචන, නීතිය වචන වෙනස්. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට, if you want to adopt someone, right? Like for example, adopt. ළමයි දරුවෙකු අරන් හදා ගන්නවා කියනවානේ, right? But the correct singular term for adoption is කුලවද්දා ගැනීම, right? So there are different terms, right? Which we usually use in the ordinary context, but they are quite different when we consider about the legal system. Sometimes same meaning, but different aspects can be there. There are some things, some words that we do not use in the course of our life. For example, we usually don't talk about vidhayaka or executive, right? We don't usually talk about, like, no, we should talk about it, but in our usual affairs, when we talk about things, you know, when we express ourselves, we don't use words like vidhayaka, right? And then vyavastadayaka, things like that we don't use in our ordinary conversations. We should, but we don't. Like our ordinary conversation sometimes, something like that. We don't ask, so you don't ask things like that, all right? So some words can be quite new to you, all right? Especially when you are learning, even in Sinhalese or English, whatever the language it is, some things can be new to you. So I'll give an idea about those terms to have this small pathway for us to start studying law. So don't think that I am treating you as very small children and all, right? It's not the case. But when you are doing something, we should have some way of doing it, right? Right? So I will give you an idea about it. And if you feel that you know about all those things, just keep me informed. We can move on to the next area, right? Okay. And then sources of law. From where does the law come from? Now, this is an example for a law. All right. This is an example for a law, right? These actually protect you. This protects the people of Sri Lanka, right? So it is only, for example, this one is only 50 rupees. Okay. But the protection that it gives is worth more than millions and millions and millions of rupees. Now, this is about money laundering. You know about money laundering? Mudal Vishuddhikarana. So this act is about that. We will talk about it later. All right. From where does the law come from? We will talk about it in just a few minutes. And then I'm going to introduce you to the legal system of Sri Lanka. What are the things that we have? What are the laws that we have? I recently watched this small clip from a movie of the great Gamini Fonseca, right? Okay, so he gave a nice and a wonderful idea about the legal system of Sri Lanka in that clip. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me now, but some of you might know about it. Next thing, we will also learn about company law, right? There are various business structures available in the country. If you consider about the world, sole traders are there, sole proprietorships, partnerships are there, joint ventures are there, and what are the other things that we have? Many things, companies, right? Limited liability partnerships, you name it. So many business structures are there. But companies are also special to a certain extent. So basically, when it comes to company law, we all learn about it in depth. There's a reason for that. We'll talk about it in just a few minutes as well. All right. And then I have found this wonderful question from one of the past papers that you, under your examinations, it's about the wills ordinance. Okay, wills ordinance. It's not, will is not a person, right? Okay, sorry, it's a small joke. Okay, I'm not thinking that you don't have any knowledge about law, right? Sure, you are very knowledgeable persons, I'm sure. But you know, just to give you an idea about what wills are and how wills can be executed and what factors should be considered, we'll have a small discussion about that as well. And then alternate dispute resolution. What do you mean by alternative dispute resolution? Alternative, right? So I have only one pen, so I don't have another one, so I can't use the pen for an example. So there are two laws, right? So there are two laws in my hand at the time. So both things, let's assume both things just the same. It's like a TPT, right? Same brand, same thing, but I select this one, right? Okay, but just assume these are two brands now, two brands, okay, two different brands. This is Mr. Pop and this is the traditional tip chip, something like this. So both are similar products, right? But what I do is that, I think I like this one. But if I don't like this one, I do have this one. So even if I select this one, this alternative is available for me for my choosing as well. Alternatives, vikalpayan, vividha akara vikalpa, right? Gatlu nirakarane kirime vikalpa, right? Not like going to a certain person, right? Showing a gun, something like that. It's not proper dispute resolution. People are tempted to use those mechanisms as well. Those are also alternatives, right? Because without going to courts, adhikarණයට යෑමෙන් තොරව ගැටලු විසඳා ගැනීමේ ක්‍රම තියෙනවා. හරිද? සියලුම ක්‍රම නීතිමය ක්‍රම නෙමෙයි. කවුරුද කෙනෙක්ව පැහැරගෙන යනවා, එක්ක ගිහිල්ලා වෙඩි තියන්න හදනවා, එක්ක ගිහිල්ලා බෙල්ල මිරි ගන්න හදනවා, එක්ක කොණ්ඩෙන් අදිනවා, ඒ වගේ දේවල්. Those are not valid things. All right? But you need to understand that there are proper ways of resolving your disputes, okay, of bringing to an end the disputes that you have in legal ways. I'm sure you know the words, right? We have mediation, we have arbitration and conciliation, negotiation, you name it. There are so many legal ways of resolving disputes without choosing violence, all right, or punches and things like those, shooting. Without them, we have legally valid ways of resolving disputes. So we will learn about those methods as well. And then something that you can teach me as well, negotiable instruments. You are pros in negotiable instruments. If I ask about checks, you'll say, you don't have to tell us anything, right? We are very fluent about how checks work and everything we know. Of course, I do agree. Sometimes you might know much more than, you know, what I have, all right? Because you are in the system, you are in the banking system, you are like a part of the body, right? Like blood is running through the vein, you are in the system. So who am I to give you ideas about negotiable instruments? But legally, I can share a few perspectives with you just to, you know, expose you to a lot of other things that you can learn as well. All right. So I hope this will be a very good session for you, and make it better. by asking, inquiring, ask questions, just unmute yourself and take part, please. It's a 3-hour session, right? So please, I need your help. Okay. You have to help me out. And I ask questions, just feel free to answer. All right. So I told you, I'll be addressing you as friends. All right. So friend to friend, you can talk. All right. So let's just start off with what actually is meant by law. What do you mean by law? Again, I'm very sorry. Right, I'm not very fluent in Tamil at the time, still working on it. So no discrimination is, intended. Okay, I'm very sorry about that, but I'll use a single and English. Okay, so no discrimination intended towards any of my friends whose mother tongue is Tamil. All right, please. Okay, can someone give me an idea about what actually is meant by law? Any ideas? The chat box is also open. Of course, you can provide your input directly, no issues. Any idea? I don't have to call names, right? So we have a lot of friends with us today. Very good to have all of you here, right? We have Akshana, we have Lahiru. It's very good to have you here. So any idea about what the law is? What do you mean by law? So someone can say, okay, laws are these things, right? These big books. Okay, all these things are laws. Yeah, they are laws. But how can you define law? Why do you think the law is there? What's the purpose? Right? Why is it there? What does it do? Do we need one? I see people saying, okay, this law is right. We don't need it, right? It's only the wishes of the parties in power. Yeah, there are different theories, right? We have different theories like, right, Immanuel Kant, right, and Karl Marx, okay, Rousseau, Aristotle, Plato, who had different perspectives about the legal system, what law is, what it should do, right? Now, let me give you a basic idea about what the law is, right? And why is it there? Don't learn law just because you have to learn law, because you have to go through the education. Make this a really important kind of a opportunity for you to really dig into the concept of law and understand why it is there. You are driving, right? So you are like, just like this, you are driving like a boss. And suddenly you come across this vehicle who is going really slow. The driver is driving really slow, right? I'm sure most of you, or almost all of you, or all of you might have the same kind of experience. And there's this, double line in the middle of the road, right? You choose to overtake the vehicle, and then there's a traffic police officer nearby, stops you. What will happen? Then what's going to happen, right? You'll be referred to the relevant courts because you have done something wrong. Okay. Now, looking at the example that I have just stated, what can you understand about the functions of law? Right? What is the purpose? Why is it there? What do you mean by law? What are the keywords that comes into your mind? All right, I'm getting chat messages. Very nice. All right. Akshana is saying to regulate people's behavior in accordance with norms of society. Spot on, right? I don't think I have to explain it again, right? Basically, thanks, Akshana. Very nice. Good job. Basically, it's a system. It's a system of rules and regulations which are there for the purpose of regulating whose behavior, our behavior, or someone else's behavior. Our behavior. Minisage හැසිරීම පාලනයට ලක් කරන්න. අඳුනලා දින ක්‍රමවේදයක් විදිහට අපි නීතිය අඳුනනවා. Right? That is the main definition that we can come up with. Follow. It's a system introduced by a specified institution. Now, we have rules everywhere. Do you remember when we play cricket? Unfortunately, I'm not playing cricket these days. Not these days, even for a long time after the campus, I couldn't play. Why? Busy with work, right? But I think you are still fortunate to play with your friends and all as well. So do you remember when we were small? I think all of you might have this experience. We have something called the gus catch, right? When you hit the ball, and if the ball goes and gets stuck in a branch, we say, it's out, gus catch. A rule, right? A rule. But is it a law? No. Why is that? We have rules everywhere. Okay, we have rules everywhere. Right? We have rules at home. We have rules when we play with our friends. We have different types of rules. But are they laws? In terms of law, when we consider law as a system, law is applicable to everyone in the same way. Everyone in the same way. Okay. So rules are usually they also control our behavior, but they are not introduced to the country through a specified institution like the parliament. Right? When the parliament passes a law, It binds you, it binds me. Doesn't matter whether I am an attorney or not. Some of you might be attorneys as well. Doesn't matter. Right? When you do something wrong, according to the law, if what you have done is wrong, then it's the same for everyone. Doesn't matter whether I am an attorney. Doesn't matter whether it's the president. It doesn't matter whether it's the prime minister. Doesn't matter whether it's the opposition leader. Doesn't matter. That is actually coming under rule of law. Niti adipatya. Right? Everyone is below the law. Hama kenam nitiyata yata. Right? So law is a system that is introduced by a certain specified institution for the purpose of controlling human behavior according to the standards of the society. Very nice. Perfect answer. Right? According to the standards of the society. What do you mean by standards of society? Samaje විවිධ සම්මුතින් තියෙනවා, right? ඒක සමාජයේ සමාජයට වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. It can be different from society to society. That's why all the laws in the world are not exactly the same. Laws can be different from country to country, place to place sometimes. From country to country, laws are different. Why? Because based on the values that those countries have, those people might have, their legal systems can be different as well. So I don't think that I have to give more explanations. You have done a very nice job, right? Very good, very good. So if it is not clear, just keep me informed, all right? Okay. All right, now we are moving on to consider about some words. Now, don't think that I am wasting your time. I just wanted to give you an idea about what law is, right? I am just trying to, come up with the road to learn these big other considerable areas of law. So before that, we need to identify some important things. Can someone tell me, right? A learned friend, we usually address our fellow attorneys in that way, but any friend, can someone tell me, what do you mean by the Constitution? And I'm sure you know about this. What do you mean by that? What is it? What's so special about it? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring sorry, I don't have it with me at the time. Can anyone tell me what the Constitution is? So we have 10 friends here with us. All right. We have Bhatt here. We have Edward, right? Madhushan, Sanjay. Anyone? What do you mean by the Constitution? Any ideas? Constitution of Sri Lanka. Andrukam Vyavastha, very hot topic most of the time, especially when elections are near, right? What is it? Constitution. Yeah. We have different laws. Now I have different laws. See, right? I'm always referring to this. Right? See, Kala Sanshodhana Panata, right? Mudal Vishuddhikana Panata, Money Laundering Act, right? And then we have excise ordinance, not like this excise, okay? Customs and stuff, right? And then we have assistance to and protection of victims of crime and witness act. Here you go, right? And then we have a constitutional amendment. We have so many laws. See, if you ask me how many laws are there in the country, sorry, I don't know. There are so many. Don't think so, tiny of me because I am saying that I don't know how many laws are there in the country. Being an attorney, I should know. But the thing is that from the advent of the British, when the British came here after introducing their system to Sri Lanka, so many laws have been passed. They have provided their legal system to us, right? And after 1948, after we got the independence, we have passed so many laws. Right? There are so many laws, so many laws. All right, even for small things. Did you know that you can't carry these small knives and stuff in your pocket when you're going to different places? We have an ordinance for that. Dangerous knives ordinance. Okay, dangerous knives ordinance. So likewise, so many things. Family matters, we have various types of laws, right? In terms of marriage registration ordinance is smiling from one side, and we have the Muslim Marriage and Divorce Act smiling from another side, and we have the Canadian Marriage and Divorce Act smiling from another side, and then we have customary marriages. So many legal systems, and don't forget we have Thesavalami law as well. So many laws are there. But what do you mean by the Constitution? Constitution is at the top of all these laws. Is at the top, at the apex, right? At the apex. Okay. All the laws, other laws are under the Constitution, just like the principal. That just forget about the education ministry. Forget about all the other administrative departments in a school. Who is at the top? The principal is at the top. Under the principal, you see deputy principals, right? Sectional heads, class teachers, prefects, students, yada, 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 right? But who is at the top? the principle. So, that's why we consider the constitution as the supreme law of the country. It's like the skeleton of our body, right? It provides a basic idea about all the underlying aspects in our country. What is the nature of our country? Is it a unitary state or is it a federal state? What are the fundamental rights that we have? What are the main three bodies of government, right? The judiciary, right? The legislature, and we have the executive. So the basic idea is given. Basic idea, the basic. It's like the skeleton. So the other aspects, like we have muscles, right? So everything, muscle. If I was just a skeleton, I'd look very funny, right? So still I look funny, I guess. But still, this is a structure, right? This is a structure. So according to the provisions of the constitution is at the top. We can be creative and pass laws, right, that can assure protection for its citizens and uplift their interest. Law is there for us, not for someone else. Law is our friend, not our enemy. But unfortunately, sometimes we think law is our enemy, right? Bicycle helmet right? So why is the law there? Whose head will the law protect if there's an accident? Is it the president's, or is it the prime minister's, or is it another member of the parliament, or is it the other together a neighbor, right? Who? No, it's your head that's going to be protected. Law is there to uplift your rights, to ensure protection for you. All right. Constitution is the most supreme law. No one can pass a law which goes against the principles of the constitution. It's just like, we don't usually go against principles, right? So they are inspiring the whole school. All right. And then we have the government, right? Government. Sometimes you confuse it to the whole state as well. Now, governments we appoint. We have a democracy in our country. So we appoint, right? So in the parliament, we send our representatives to the parliament, right? We send our representatives to the parliament. Now, those who are, doing these and jibber jabbering at the parliament, they are our representatives. We send them there. Okay. If you have voted, you might have sent one as well. That's fine, right? That's why it is there. Okay. We all can't get together, all, millions of people in Sri Lanka, the citizens, we can't all get together into one place and make a decision regarding what is best for the country. That's why we appoint representatives. Okay. Just like a class monitor, right? The class monitor sometimes represents the class in certain things. All right. So that's why government. So after elections, there is a party who would get most confidence from its citizens, right? We decide that based on the seats, asana, right? They can appoint the government, right? They can establish the government. Sometimes when the seats are not so like a majority, they have combinations like, okay, this party is going to get there, this party, and now we are a coalition government. Can be. It has happened as well. Okay. When we consider about the branches of a state or government, there are three branches. Legislature, right? Vyavastadayaka. Then we have executive, Vidayaka. Then we have the judiciary, Adhikarana. Okay. Don't think that, the government and the judiciary, they are one. Okay. No. We have independence of the judiciary. All right. Legislator, Vyavastadayaka Monavadakan. What does the legislature do? Any ideas? Legislature? What does it do? Legislative branch? What does it do? What is the magic word for legislation? Right? In our country, who is our legislator? Main legislator. There's one supreme legislator. What is that? What is the name for that? Yes. Starts with a P in English. Starts with a PA in singular. What is it? All right. I'm getting answers. Nice. All right. Madhushan. Very good. The parliament. Right? The parliament has the power to pass laws, not for their own interest, okay? For the betterment of the country, right? Okay, it should be for the betterment of us in general, not only me, not only you, for the country, everyone in the country, right? Why? Because we appoint them for that purpose. We appoint them because we trust them to make good decisions for the betterment of the country. So they are making laws. There are some other institutions that can make laws as well, but the supreme lawmaker would be the parliament. All right. There's this procedure called first reading, second reading, third reading, and how a bill becomes a law. Okay, there's this procedure. After the procedure is done, that becomes a law. And after something becomes a law, it cannot be cancelled. It can be cancelled only through the parliament. In other instances, can't. When the law is passed, when a law like this is going to be passed, okay, that law can only be cancelled, that means repealed, changed, that means amended, modified, only through the parliament. All right. But when the law is in the bill stage, right, we as citizens can go and question. That is what happened in the Port City bill as well. Interested parties, if they think that there's a violation, right, they can go to the Supreme Court. If the parliament is going, that. All right. Then we have the executive. Executive consists of the, the president, the cabinet, and the public service, right? What they do is that they implement the law. Right? If the law is like noyana gaman, like for example, trip ekak plan karna, yanne, plan එක තියෙනවා yanne, right? So that means you have the plan, you don't implement. What if we have all these laws, right? Very, very creative laws. We have all the laws in the world, but there's no one to implement it, right? There's no one to implement it. කවුරුත් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ නැහැ. What is the use of having something if you don't use it, if you don't enforce it? Then මේ shirt එකක් තියෙනවා. අඳින්නේ නැහැ. මොකටද ඒක? Right? Something like that. So we need to have laws, yes, but we should also enforce the law. So the branch of government that enforces the law is the executive branch. Okay, I'll give one example after I discuss about the judiciary as well. Judiciary, of course, right? Judiciary is the area, or not the area, the institution that interprets. Now you see here, okay, in this statute, you see all these black letters, right? I'm sorry, I have blurred the background because it's not so nice, right? So we have all these small black words in the statute, right? Who gives meaning to that? Who gives meaning to that? The meaning to those words are given not by me or you. Of course, as lawyers, we can argue, or even civil persons can argue certain cases. But the real meaning is going to be taken out from the statute and provided through the judiciary. The judiciary has the capability to interpret arthakatane kirim and apply it, right? That is what the judiciary does, right? That is what all these three branches do. Now, why do you think this was the same for a long period of time? Right? There was a time we had monarchs, Rajavaru, right? Rajinian හිටපු කාලයක් තිබුණා නේද? ඒ කාලෙදී ඔය powers තුනම බාලේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එක් පුද්ගලයෙක් යට තිබුණ කාලයක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. Even in the United Kingdom. ඒක ඉංගලන්තෙද කොහෙද කියන එක අදාළ නැහැ. ඒ වගේ සිස්ටම් එකක් තාමත් සමහර රටවල තියෙනවා. එක ක්‍රමයක් එක මොකක්ද ඒකට කියන්නේ අපි තියෙනවා එක සංකල්පයක්, right? Power corrupts. Absolute power absolutely corrupts, right? බලය තිබුණොත් ඒක ඒක අනවශ්‍ය විදිහට පාවිච්චි මේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. ඉස්පහසුවක් නැති එකේ ඉස්පහසුවක් නෙමෙයි. ඒ කියන්නේ කිසිම සීමාවක් රහිතව බලය තියෙනවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඒ වගේ ක්‍රියාවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that problem is settled. ඒ ප්‍රශ්නය යම් තාක් දුරට අඩු කරලා තියෙනවා මේ බලය බෙදීම මගින්. Separation of powers. What separation of powers say is that power should not only be concentrated to a certain person only. It should be divided. It should be divided, right? So there we can ensure that no one abuses the power that they get. Why? If the legislator does something wrong, the judiciary will be looking, right? And if the executive does something wrong, the judiciary will be looking, right? We'll be watching them, what's going on, right? Now, in the Port City bill, what happened? The parliament introduced the bill, and the judiciary, after getting requests from good citizens, right? Good citizens, I'm saying good citizens because they are concerned about the country, right? So then the court said, hey, you can't do this. This violates the constitution, all right? See? The judiciary is looking at it. If you have all the powers, you can do whatever you want to. That's why, right? Then we have statutes. This is an example for a statute. Panat, okay? Statutes are laws that are passed by the legislative body of the country, right? Panat. And then we have case laws. What do you mean by case laws? Case laws, what do you mean by case? Usually, when we talk casually, සාමාන්‍ය ව්‍යවහාරදී case කියන්නේ අවුලක් කියන එක. It's a problem, right? This is not a case law like අවුල් සහගත නීතියක් නෙමෙයි, right? Case laws means when we have issues, we go to courts, right? When we go to courts, at the end of the hearing, at the end of the trial, we get a judgment. Okay, case laws, cases that are decided by courts, right? Adhikarana visin nisi ආකාරයට nisi ක්‍රියාදාමයේ අනුව අහලා නිම කරන නඩු තියෙනවා. නිම කරන ලබා දෙන නඩු තියෙනවා. Right? Something like that. And then last one we have jurisdiction. Adhikarana බලය. Now jurisdiction is used in different ways. Now we can refer to another jurisdiction like UK, something like that. Jurisdiction in courts means adhikarana බලය. Okay. Can someone tell me what jurisdiction is? You have very good answers. I am very happy to get good answers from you. Any idea as to what actually is meant by, you know, jurisdiction? Jurisdiction, what do you mean by that? Adhikarana බලය, what do you mean by that? Don't worry. Just you can unmute yourself and talk. I don't mind. Right? No issue. Jurisdiction. Is this the first time you heard this word? I don't think so. I don't think so. Surely in the first lesson, you should get an idea about jurisdiction. Jurisdiction basically means the ability of a court to hear a matter and provide a legally valid judgment. How many types of courts do we have in Sri Lanka? I'm sure you know the answer. How many types of courts? What are the names? What are the names of the courts that we have in Sri Lanka? Yeah? Any ideas? Come on, friends, you need to help me. What are the courts that we have? What are the courts that we have in the country? What types of courts do we have? Any idea? Now you have to help a friend. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I know, but I'm just asking. Right? What do you mean by what are the courts that we have in the country? We have different courts, right? Any example? If you have committed a traffic offense, right? Which court would you end up in? Traffic offense karapu katti innawada? You don't have to tell that you have committed an offense. We all make mistakes, but anyone who knows about, all right, I'm getting answers, we'll see. All right, magistrates court, very nice, Akshana. Yeah, of course, we have magistrates court. Okay, we have primary courts. We have, all right, I'm getting another answer, very nice, awesome. District courts, very nice, Madhushan, good job. Right, and we have high courts. Under high courts, we have provincial high courts. We do have commercial high courts, civil appeal high court, and then we have the court of appeal, and we have the biggest person in the, not biggest person in the sense that the most senior court of them all in Sri Lanka, the Supreme Court. There's no way that you can go, no place that you can go beyond the Supreme Court. If you get a judgment from the Supreme Court, that's it. There's no other place where you can go. All right. Those are the courts that we have. Now, if you consider about these courts, the courts have different powers, right? Like, just can think about certain matters. Divorce cases are heard in the district court. Traffic offences are heard in the magistrates court. Maintenance cases are heard in the magistrates court. Adoption cases are heard in the district court. Murder, rape, and very sensitive crimes like that are heard in the high court. Fundamental rights court cases are heard in the Supreme Court. What's the deal? What's the deal? We have a hierarchy of courts in the country. Within the hierarchy of the courts, adhikarana doorawaliyak තියෙනවානේ. මහේස්ත්‍රාත් සාවිය තියෙනවා, ප්‍රාථමික අධිකරණය තියෙනවා, මහා අධිකරණය තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මහා අධිකරණයට අපිට පළාත්බද මහා අධිකරණ, සිවිල් අභියාචන අධිකරණ, right? වාණිජ්‍ය මහා අධිකරණ, ඊට පස්සේ අභියාචන අධිකරණය, ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ අධිකරණය. We have all these courts. Why? They have different powers. And then you might be thinking, okay, we don't only have one district court. No, we have district courts everywhere. We have magistrates court everywhere. Yeah. Right? We do have the same type of court. It has different court, different places we have. All right. So I'm getting a question from Madhushan. Yes. All right. No. This is not disturbance, right? Please ask questions. I'm happy if you ask questions. If you need more explanations, I will do. I'm writing them down, and I will create a separate presentation for tomorrow as well. All right. No worries. Ask questions. That's why I'm here. Can we challenge the decision of a Supreme Court in the international court? Nice question. This actually happened in one of the old cases, right? The thing is that international laws are really important. Yeah, it's very good that you have asked questions. So imaginary hi-fi, right? So so it's a really good question. Basically, in our court, in our country, we have something called sovereignty, right? Swairibhavaya, right? Do you know about that word? So sovereignty, we have state sovereignty. State sovereignty means we as a country, we can decide about things that happens in our country on our own without the influence of other parties. When you are doing something in your house with the family, now assume that I am the neighbor. So then what will you say? Right? We are doing because this is not illegal. We are enjoying what we do, right? So you are playing cards. So I am saying, hey, no, I am the neighbor. Would you say, I am not playing cards in your house? No, I am playing cards in my house. So the same principle is what we refer to as sovereignty. As a country, we have the capability to decide about things without the influence of others. State sovereignty. Okay. There was this case, if I'm not mistaken, the Singharasa case, where this person actually went to international sphere courts and tried to get a determination from courts. The thing is that international courts and all, even though they can go, when it comes to the Sri Lankan jurisdiction, the highest court is the Supreme Court, right? So just because there's an international law, that is not going to apply to our country unless otherwise we accept it and enable it through an enabling legislation. All right. But the thing is, it's not that simple in the sense that this is my personal opinion. Another lawyer or another lecturer, another person, another citizen can have a different perspective. Now, we are not, we as a country, we are not completely independent. No country is independent because we are all dependent, especially after what? Globalization. Now just look at myself. This shirt may be from another country. Okay, the pants I'm wearing may be from another country. This tie might be from some other country. Okay. And the watch that I have, even though I'm not using it here, right? It may be from another country. This is a perfect example of globalization, right? The whole world has become one market. So under such circumstances, with the current relationships that we have as a country, if there are issues, there can be pressure from the international community. Sometimes some people might say it's a bad thing. Sometimes some people might say it's a good thing. It goes both ways, as I say. As I think, it goes both ways. So people can go, but it's a question as to whether whatever the decision that they get from the international institutions will have force. There are judgments which says, even if it is an international law, okay, if you consider about Sri Lanka in international laws, you find a signature from Sri Lanka, surely. It's a good thing. But in order for that international law, there should be a specific recognition given to it. We have laws like that, like the ICCPR, things like that. We have laws like that. But even though a certain person can go, there's an issue as to whether it could, be enforced in Sri Lanka. But there are other ways, like there can be various types of embargoes and things like that. There can be things like that. So that actually would provide a lot of pressure for us, which would make us do, other things, right? So that pressure can be there. Because we are no longer living in an isolated world, not like Japan long time ago. They have completely, completely disconnected from the world for a very long time period. So we can't, in the current world, live like that, because obviously we have different relationships with different states. We are dependent on different states. What happens if our exports in terms of apparels? If they are not purchased, what would happen? Okay, there are so many things. So we have to consider different things. So that is where diplomatic relations come up with. That doesn't mean that we have to do whatever others say, but there's a way of doing things, right? So that's my answer for that one, right? Tricky answer, but I hope I gave you some ideas about it. Good question, right? Great. You don't have to apologize for asking me questions, okay? Ask, shoot any question you have. All right, okay, I think I'm getting more questions. All right, great, no problem. I'm happy that you understood. Thanks, right? Good question. Okay. Righto, now we are moving on to the banker's perspective. The banker's perspective. As bankers, should you be worried about the law? What do you mean by this? Ignorantia juris non exercit, right? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Now, assume that you are driving a vehicle, right? You are driving a vehicle going very fast, and a police traffic officer, a very good one, just standing near the road and stopped you. Hey, stop. And he came to you, or she came to you. Do you know the speed that you were traveling before I stopped you? You say, I think around 110 kilometers per hour. Then the police officer might say, right. So then you're asking, so what's the problem? Do you know that it is against the law to travel that fast in this region? Then you are saying, I didn't know. So can I go? No, no, no. Not knowing the law is not going to be an excuse for anyone. For you, it's the same. For me, it's the same, right? So we should, even though we say, I didn't know about the existence of a law like that. Okay, then now you can't understand what I'm saying, right? So now we are in a class. So you throw this pen and then it hits me here like that. Okay, it injures me. Okay? There's a law which says you can't do things like that. All right. If you are interested in law, or even if you are doing business things, whatever the course it is, right? It can be IBSL, AAT, MBAs at a certain university, whatever you do, never forget or never try to just deviate from the law. Keep on learning it, right? It's very important. It's not because I am representing an institution, because it's very important for you in your day-to-day life. Okay. How many of you have read the penal code? Dandanit Sangraya. Okay. Dandanit Sangraya. Right. So really, really important aspect. Now, recently we had all these issues regarding, obscene publications and things like that. All right. So there's a punishment for that as well. Right? So many things are there which are so related to our day-to-day life, right? So ignoring the law, not knowing the law is not going to be an excuse for you to evade the law, right? Just because you did not know that you can travel 150 kilometers per hour, right? 150 kilometers per hour on a certain road. Just because you don't know, that doesn't mean that it is not a law. It is a law. You not knowing about it is never going to be an excuse if you breach the law. Like, what if someone says, I accidentally killed a person. Sorry, I am not going to do it again. Mistake me. I think. And died. Sorry. Something like that. So can you do things like that? No, no, no. Okay. I am sure no person would think like that, because it's very obvious that we all know that murder and things like that, they are prohibited in Sri Lanka as well. Right? There are certain instances under which defenses can be there, but murder is prohibited. Okay, murder is prohibited. So you can't say, I didn't know about that. That's not going to work. All right. So even though you are a banker, even though you are going to have your own company one day, even if you are going to be an attorney at law one day, even if you are going to be, a thinker, a philosopher, a writer, okay, a worker, a construction worker, whoever you want to be, right? You can't simply evade the law. Okay, you can't simply say, I did not know about that law, so sorry, I'm not going to do this again. Very sorry, court, very sorry, I'm not going to do it again. That's not going to work, because that's not the way it's going to happen. What if everyone starts saying things like that? Okay, what if everyone starts saying things like that? It's going to be a problem, right? Okay, so right. Okay, so I'm not going to consider a lot about this because I think you are already aware about this, right? So we were under 3 foreign powers. Okay, I'm sure you know it's there in the slide as well. Okay, before the colonial era, we had systems. Okay, we had a system. Even when it comes to the Canadian kingdom, the kingdom was properly administered. We had a system. Okay, we had authorities. We had various types of officials. Right, it can be vidanes. Right, okay, various disaves, various types of persons we had. All right, officials. There was administration. Okay, but the system that we have in this country at the time is mainly inspired by whose system? English legal system. Why? The British are so special. Why is that? Why did I say that? In terms of the legal system, why did I say that? British is special. I am not saying that they have done a lot of things for the country. They might have done, but they have harmed the country as well. That's my opinion, right? Done things and done bad things as well. All right. But the thing is that in terms of the legal system, I told you they are special because they were the first foreign power to gain full control over the Sri Lankan territory. Full control. Portuguese came, they had some places, they minded their own business, trade and stuff. They did not want to invade other places, they're just there. And then, Dutch came. Dutch, they also were unable to get into these Candian regions. Now, we have a wrong conception, right? We have this wrong interpretation that Candian areas are only, Candy-rated areas. Wrong, huh? It's very wrong. Candian areas are areas that were not under the control of any foreign power until that problematic year 1815. Okay, after the Udrata Convention, we actually, it's like with a nice plate, we gave the country, whole country, to the British. Okay, so I don't know politics involved, so I don't want to analyze the historical aspects, but what happened was that the whole country came under the control of the British in 1850. But the British came here long before that, not so long, sometime before that. I think in 1796, yeah, 1796. All right. So very important aspect, very important aspect. So they were in our country for a very long time. They obviously had a lot of control over the country. So basically, their legal system has shaped our legal system, and they injected their legal tradition to our country, which is what we are following these days as well. Okay, which is what we are following these days as well. So do you think that in our courts, for example, we were required to wear cloaks, ties, and things like that, and even in certain places, wigs and things like that? No, I don't think so. We might have had a system, very good system, but these traditions actually came through the British, all right? So we are inspired by that. Now, even if you consider about the Westminster system, for example, the parliament, right, our parliament, from where did we get the idea? Okay, you know about the constitutional reforms that took place in our country. Macallum, Crewe, Macallum, right? Manning, Devonshire, Manning, right? And Donamo, Salisbury, things like that, you know, right? So through these reforms, our system was changed, and the judiciary made a lot of changes as well. The court system that we have, right? The Supreme Court from 1801, what changes did it do? Now, the Dutch also applied their laws to a certain extent, right? For example, in the, you know, in various forts that they had, those who have changed their faith to Christianity, the Dutch law was applicable. Okay, right? And they had courts, Landrat, Civilerat, Radvan, Justity, they had courts as well. All right. So we have their system in our country as well, because when the British came, they thought, okay, Dutch law might have been the main law as well. So they kept on applying that as well. Right. So that's why our country is a bit complicated like this. Okay. When you consider about the Sri Lankan legal system, it looks like a, you know, kind of like a fruit salad. I am not going to be disrespectful. It's good, right? It's good. Diversity is good. We have Roman Dutch law. Now look at this. We have Sinhalese law or Kandyan law, right? And Buddhist Temple Act and things like that are also there. Tesavarami law is there. Muslim law is there. Mukwa law, right? Roman Dutch law, English law, likewise. We have so much laws, just like this. But even when it comes to fruit salads, when there are different types of fruits, the taste is better, right? So in our country, when it comes to legal practice, it is challenging to have different laws. It can be challenging, but it is also good. Now, even when it comes to Tesavalame law, right? Those customs are much respected by a community of the country. Even when it comes to Kandyan law, those are also respected by a certain community of the country. Muslim law is also respected by a community in our country. So all citizens, right? So we have religious freedom and things like that. But there are different types of arguments which says that we should have one law, something like that. It's a very long debatable topic, which can be the case as well, because obviously there are complications when there are different legal systems. But diversity, it's good, right? So we have to consider all these things, but I'm not going to give you an idea about all these laws, but I have seen a question on Kandyan law, which I will discuss tomorrow regarding marriages and things like that. So there's so much things that we can discuss, right? I don't know whether I'll be able to discuss, but I intended to discuss within the 3 hours, because I think already we have talked for around 1 hour. I hope things are not boring. If it is, just tell me, right? All right, so small interactive session. Other than me talking and talking, I think it's very difficult to hear my voice for more than 1 hour. So congratulations, you survived, right? So when we consider about this example, what can you tell? Okay, can you tell me what are laws out of here? I gave you an idea about the difference between certain laws, okay, laws and rules that we have. Now, according to your knowledge, carrying a driving license, is it a law or is it a law or is it not a law? What do you think? Is it a law or isn't it a law? Carrying your driving license when you are driving, law or not? What happens if you don't carry the license when you are driving? Not a good thing that's going to happen, okay? Because the fines and everything, they are skyrocketing nowadays, okay? So not a very good thing, all right? You need to have it with you. It's a law. Why? Under Motor Traffic Act and various other laws, right? It's a regulation. It's not regulation, it's a law. we have to abide by it. Okay, we can't say, I forgot, sorry, something like that. That's not going to happen, because the law says you have to possess the driving license when you are driving. So if you are driving without the driving license, you are in clear violation of the law. So if you are violating the law, that means you are guilty of an offense, right? Law. You are required to be at home by 5 p.m. We might have these deadlines, right? So nowadays I don't have, right? But you know, when we have children, we might have had different types of rules like that. Okay, mother, when we try to go out with friends, say, hey, you have to be back by 5, okay? So are they laws? I don't think so. Why? Because if it is breached, you don't go to courts, right? And there's no way that it can be enforced as well. Okay, and it is not passed by the legislative body of the country. That is usually a usual kind of a arrangement that sometimes family members might have, which is not a law, but can be a rule for that specific household. All right. So likewise, there are different types of other things that we can consider as well when it comes to, you know, the legal system, the rules and the laws, etc., etc. So that is something that you need to understand. All right. Just to give you a small idea, I just thought of bearing that. Just giving an idea about it. Then we have sources of law. Don't worry, right? We are moving on to what we have discussed very quickly. Okay. Sources of law. What do you mean by sources of law? KISS source or MDs or something like that? No. Sources of law. From where does the law come from? Okay. Now just think about our bodies. This is a very nice design. Okay. I'm not saying this is a very nice design, but when we consider about the anatomy of the human body, it's a cutting edge design, right? Just think about how these things work now. We are doing this. Okay, now I am doing this. But for this to happen, how many organs and things in my body has to work together, right? How many things has to work together, right? So if you just consider your body as a system, your body is made out of different small things. We'll just consider about the organs. We have, for instance, the brain, okay, heart, right? And then we have lungs. Okay, likewise, we have so many things. So we are all here as we are now because all of those things are working together, right? If someone is going to go on a strike, then it's going to be a problem. Sources of law is also like that. The thing is that, don't misinterpret, okay? What I'm trying to say is that the legal system that we have is a combination of various things, not only this, not only a statute. Okay, our legal system gets the inspiration, okay, for various laws from different things. Okay, sources of law is where you can exactly find the law, where you can find the legal provisions that you need to be aware of. Okay, that is the place where you can find the law. That is the source of law. Those are the sources of law. What are the sources of law? The best and easiest source, statutes. Okay, panam. Nitiye Mulashra. Panat. Right? What are the other things? Religion. Okay, agama. And then customs. Right? Siripit. And we also have what other things? Juristic opinions, right? Visheshakya mata. Okay. Likewise, we can find the law in different places. If you ask a question, if I forget something, I have books with me. I refer to them. Okay. So if you ask something about it, I can give you an idea about it. And then we have specific other books which are written by various scholars such as L.J.M. Kure. This is a wonderful book, right? Which gives an idea about the legal system of Sri Lanka. Right? I bought this nearly 10 years ago. It's very important, not 10 years, yeah, nearly 10 years ago for my degree program, right? So really important. Okay, juristic opinions, things like that. Very important. Books, case laws, so important. Sources of law. So basically, sources of laws are where you can find the law. What are the sources? We have many sources: religion, statutes, case laws. Right? Case laws are also referred to as judicial precedent. Okay, not the PRESIDENT. That's the precedent. This is PRECENT. Right? Okay. The small differences there. When you are spelling, don't use wrong spellings. Okay. Be very thorough about the spellings as well. And then we have customs, scholarly opinions, many things as such, where you can find the law. If you read a judgment, you will see the honorable judges they refer to the relevant statute, and the constitution is also there. Okay, they refer to the relevant statute, and they also read various types of books, okay, and scholarly writing. Okay, now I am not giving you political opinions. I practically don't talk about politics at all, right? In classes or things like that, we do have discussions about different things, but I am very impartial when it comes to politics. But irrespective of the political opinions, when you consider about things such as property law, criminal law, Professor G.L. Peter's books are referred by almost all the law students. They have so many insights, they have so many facts. So those are scholarly opinions, juristic kind of writing. Okay. Now I'm not talking about the political career, not interested, but I'm just telling you, sharing an idea about how important those books are. Very important books. There are so many persons like that. Like, for example, if you are interested in reading various other Sinhalese books as well, we have writers such as, yes, Mr. Nilantha Hettige, right? Persons as such, he's also an attorney at law. I'm not getting any money from them for saying their names, okay? I was just wondering whether you are interested in reading more books. That's why I named, okay? We have, Justice Veeramantri, right? The books are a bit difficult to read, but the wording and everything, nice. All right. Okay. I'll give you an idea about a classification of law, and then we will move on to what we have to discuss today, right? What do you mean by classification of law? නීතිය වර්ගීකරණය කරන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රම මොනවාද? එක ක්‍රමයක් මම කියලා දෙන්නම්. අනිත් ඒවා ටිකම ඉක්මනට කියාගෙන යන්න. Right? So, criminal law and civil law. What's the difference? Can someone tell me? අපරාධ නීතිය සහ සිවිල් නීතිය අතර තියෙන වෙනස්කම මොකක්ද? දෙකම නීතිද එකක් විතරක්ද නීතිය? දෙක නීති දෙකක්ද? මොකක්ද වෙනස? What's the difference? Criminal law and civil law. What's the difference? Is there any difference, or is it the same? Something like that. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Now you have to help me, friends. You have to give me your opinion. You can unmute yourself and talk. We know we are all staying at home, right? And there can be sounds, dogs barking, right? Fine, no problem, right? We are at home. Nothing to worry about. So if you have any answers, just share with me. Yeah? What's the difference between criminal law and civil law? I will share these things with you as well. Don't worry. What's the difference between civil law and criminal law? Civil law, we have one side. Criminal law, we have one side. What's the difference? Okay. Vargikaranaya karanne kohomada niti. Civil nitiya, aparadha nitiya. What's the difference? Can anyone answer? Yeah. A small challenge. We have all of you here. Very good to see all of you here as well. What do you think? What are the differences? What's the difference between civil law and criminal law? All right. Am I getting answers? No, not yet. All right. So until you just come up with your answer, let me just share my perspective. All right. Just think about these examples. Okay. Now just think. Even close your eyes and just think. Right. Divorce. Divorce. And then we have adoption. Land disputes. Land disputes. Testamentary cases. Money recovery cases. Okay. Partition cases. Something like that. Now I have told you examples, right? Now just again, close your eyes and then just think about these things that I say. Just hear my words, right? Murder, rape, okay, cheating, robbery, grievous hurt. Now, when I told you the first set of cases that we have in courts, and when I told you about the second set of cases, did you feel a difference? Obviously, you might have felt a difference. Okay, why? Criminal law addresses very sensitive aspects in the society, right? Very sensitive aspects, right? It can have a very significant impact in the society. සමාජයට විශාල බලපෑමක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ දේවල් තමයි අපරාධ නීතිය තුල අපිට දකින්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. මිනි මැරීමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අපචාරයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ස්ත්‍රී දූෂණයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, නේද? ඊට පස්සේ විවිධ දේවල් තියෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ වගේ. මුදල් විශුද්ධීකරණය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Those are criminal offenses. Why? Because the impact of those offenses to the society is very significant. Very significant. Very significant. All right. It can affect the society to a very significant extent. But aniteva, divorce, that can be a problem as well. But it's an issue between two individuals, and the effects of that issue only applies to those two individuals. Divorce එකකදී සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පාර්ශ්ව දෙන්නෙක් විතර ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙක. තුන් දෙනෙක් ඉන්න පුළුවන් අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. උදාහරණයක් අනාචාරයේදී තුන්වන පාර්ශ්වයේ කෝ ඩිෆෙන්ඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් විදිහට අපිට අධිකරණයට ගේන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අර අනිවාර්යෙන්ම දික්කසාදයක් කියන එක පුද්ගල දෙදෙනෙක් අතර සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සම්බන්ධ වෙන දෙයක් සාමාන්‍ය නීති සාමාන්‍ය වශයෙන්, right? So that matter is only concentrated to the two persons. Civil law is the aspect of law that addresses disputes between individuals. පාර්ශව කරුවන් අතර තියෙන ගැටලු නිරාකරණය කිරීමට උදව් වන නීතියේ ක්‍රමය තමයි. ක්‍රමය කියන්නේ it's law. But when we consider about the law, we can classify the law, right, looking at its features, right? Okay, එහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ළමයි ගත්තාම සමහර කට්ටිය විවිධ විදිහට වර්ගීකරණය කරනවා. උස ළමයා, කොට ළමයා, not good, right? But they do it, right? But all of them are children. All of them are children. We should not label them by me kota daruwa, me usa daruwa, me tatta daruwa, something like that. We should not say things like that, right? It's not very, what you call, polite, right? But why did we divide children like that? Based on their characteristics, based on their appearance, which is very bad, right, to say things like that. But by looking at the nature of the law, what it does, we can divide law into various sectors as well. And that is what you see here in the slide. Criminal law, civil law, procedural law, substantive law, private law, public law, civil law, common law, and national law and international law. So this answers the question that you have asked as well. National law and international law. Very nice question. Again, I'm saying, right? So criminal law addresses very sensitive issues that can have a very significant impact in the society. Whereas in civil law, what happens is that it addresses disputes between individuals, not individual, individuals, okay, plural. All right. And then we have procedural law and substantive law. I will give you an idea about it, right? Procedure is the kriya patipati, karya patipati, nitiya, and substantive law, harayatmaka nitiya. What's the difference? In substantive law, your rights, your obligations, punishments, things like that will be defined and introduced. Right? But in procedural law, what says is that how you proceed with the case. නඩුවක් පවත්වාගෙන යන ආකාරය. කොහොමද? අත්තරන් කොට ගන්න නම් ඒක කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? ඒව ගැන දැනගෙන ඉන්න බෑ. Like for example, assume that I have this shirt. Yes, I have it with me now. That's why I'm wearing it. If I have the shirt, if I don't know how to wear it, having the shirt is not going to make sense. කමිසයක් තියෙනවා, අඳින්න දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක තියාගෙන ඉන්න එකෙන් වැඩක් තියෙනවද? නෑ. වැඩක් නෑ. කාටවත් අඳින්න නෑ. Right? So likewise, this is like the substance, right? This is like the substance. Haraya. It gives an idea about things, right? And how I wear it is like the procedure. Okay. Both aspects should be there properly in a system. The substance should be there, and also supporting that, the procedure should be there. We can say murder is wrong. This is murder. This is grievous hurt. This is rape. This is cheating. This is money laundering. We can define. නිර්වචනය කරන්න පුළුවන්, අර්ථකථනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒව ක්‍රියාවට නංවන විදිහක් නැත්තම්, නඩුවක් පවත්වාගෙන යන විදිහක් කියලා නැත්තම්, එතන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා කොහොමද මේක නීති ක්‍රමයක් වෙන්නේ කියලා. Okay, if there is no provision which gives an idea about how people can be arrested, okay, if there's no way, or if there's nothing that is specified about how a civil case can proceed, කොහොමද නඩුවක් වෙන්නේ කියලා. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට divorce එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් දික්කසාද නඩුවක් බැලුවොත් එහෙම සිවිල් නඩු විධාන සංග්‍රහය, ඒක තමයි සිවිල් නඩු වලට අදාළ වෙන සංග්‍රහය. කාර්ය පටිපාටිමේ නීතිය or the procedural law is a civil procedure code for civil cases. සිවිල් නඩු විධාන සංග්‍රහය. I don't have it with me at the time. I have it in the bookshelf. It will take some time for me to get it, right? So there you see the procedure that is followed in divorce cases as well. Civil matter. If I'm not mistaken, from 590 somewhere to, that is what I can remember, right? So the sections. So it gives an idea about how a civil case, how this divorce case is going to proceed, right? The NISI, everything is there. NISI Act now, then everything is there. You can easily get an idea about it, right? So that's the difference. So private law and public law is also there. Civil law and common law, it's a system, not the civil law that we have discussed just now. National law and international law. National laws are applicable to a certain country, whereas international law, its law is applicable internationally. All right. So that is something that we have to consider. Now, when it comes to international laws, there are so many complications that we can go through as well, especially when we get into a contract with a person who is living in another country. So there we have arbitration, things like that we can use. which are really important. Conflict of law rules. I'm not going to complicate things too much, okay, because you know, this is one subject that you are doing, right? Not the law major, no? So I'm not going to complicate things by giving so many ideas about that, right? But if you have any problems, ask, okay? You can ask, right? So explanations are provided here. You can just be curious and try to find out about what they are and everything. So I have provided some materials where I have also got from the internet as well. So it's for your reference. See, procedural law. See, section 145. What does it say? If the accused is not represented by an attorney at law, the magistrate shall, at the close of examination of each witness for the prosecution, ask the accused whether he wishes to put any questions to the witness. Very important, right? Procedure. Karya But look at this one. Grievous hurt. This is from the penal code, section 311, 311, 311 Vaganti, Danariti Sangrahai. Grievous hurt. Grievous hurt. Right? What do you mean by grievous hurt? If you want to know what is meant by grievous hurt, refer to section 311 in the penal code of Sri Lanka. Okay. What do you mean by grievous hurt? Emasculation, permanent privation of the sight of either eye. Okay, permanent privation of the hearing of either eye. Grievous hurt. Okay, not a laughing matter. Jail term. Okay, so be very careful. And privation of any member or joint, right? Joints and things like that. Right? Destruction or permanent impairing of powers of any member. Permanent disfiguration of the head or face can happen, right? There's going to be a permanent disfiguration, right? I don't even have hair to protect my head, right? So that's the problem. And then we have what? Fractures or dislocations of bone and tooth, right? So people love hitting like this. Okay, what will happen if some teeth are missing? Grievous hurt, not a laughing matter. Then any hurt that can endanger life, severe bodily pain, things like that. So all those things are coming under grievous hurt. If you want to identify, right? Grievous hurt, that is what, right? Then you have to refer to section 311 of the Penal Code of Sri Lanka. There it is defined, but how a person is going to be arrested, how that person is going to be produced before the magistrate, for example, those are not there in the substantive law because it's only the substance. Haraya gives an idea about your obligations, rights, gives an idea about what the offenses are, the punishments. Danduwam monada, වැරදි මොනවද, ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ වගකීම් මොනවද, අයිතිවාසිකම් මොනවද කියන එක කියලා දෙන එක තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කාර්යාත්මක නීතියේදී වෙන්නේ. කාර්යපටිපාටිමේ නීතිය එහෙම නැත්නම් procedural law, it gives an idea about how you proceed the case. All right. So those are some of the things that I wanted to give you an idea about, right? So yeah, right. Okay. So right. Okay. We'll go for one question now. So here, my intention was to give you an idea about the legal system. Okay. What you need to understand about our legal system is that in our legal system, we have different laws, friends. Okay. In our legal system, we have Roman Dutch law, we have English law, that is the main law, and we have Canadian law, we have Muslim law, we have Tesavalami law, and other than that, there are some other laws as well. So it's a very comprehensive system. In terms of courts, we have at the top, we have the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, and following that, we have the Court of Appeal, and then we have the High Courts. Under High Courts, we have Provincial High Courts, Commercial High Courts, and Permanent Bar is also there, right? Permanent High Court at Bar is there, right? And then, of course, we have the Commercial High Court, Civil Appeal Court, High Court. Okay, and below that, we have the District Courts. That is where most of the, these civil matters start, right? And then we have the Magistrates Court, and below that we have the Primary Court. So it's a very extensive kind of a court system that we have in our country. All right. So those are there for a reason. They have their jurisdiction. Here, the ability to hear certain matters, and the jurisdiction can be restricted or expanded by the amount of offenses or matters that they can hear in a court of law. Financial limitations can be there. All right. Various things as such are there. Now, I forgot to tell you one thing when I talked about jurisdiction. Now, you can ask a question saying that, okay, we have so many magistrates courts in our country. We have so many district courts in our country. We have few high courts in our country. We have one Court of Appeal and we have one Supreme Court. There's no problem with that. But you might be wondering, my goodness, when I'm going to Colombo, I have passed so many magistrates court. I have seen many District courts. In Mavanal, I have seen one. When I was going by bus, I have seen the big court complex that we had that we have in Kandy. All right, we have high courts there, we have district courts there, and there's one in there's another district court or a combined court with a magistrate court in Mavanal as well. Then you might be thinking, what magic is this? If something is going to happen, which court should I go to? You might be thinking, you can't do things like that. Okay, you might have seen, if you have done something wrong, like a traffic offense in the Galagedara area, even your house is at Kandy, you will be produced to the Galagedara Magistrate Court. Why? Because you have committed the wrong thing in the geographical area where the Galagedara Magistrates Court has power. Okay, so power can be divided like that. Same court, it can hear the same matters, but jurisdiction is limited to the geographical area. Otherwise, if there's only one magistrate's court, a person who commits something wrong in Jaffna might have to come to Kandy if the magistrate's court is in Kandy. How complicated can it be? Magistrate's court is, let me tell you, is the most busiest courts of all the other courts in the hierarchy. Why? All these minor matters are there. Idikapuam, for example, right? Okay, traffic offenses, maintenance, okay, domestic violence. These are sensitive issues. Okay, domestic violence. Most of these matters, all these matters are there in the magistrate's court. It's a very busy place. Okay, so I have found this question from one of your past papers. I just want to give you an idea about that quickly. Okay, so the question is, what is the law which requires the Attorney General to seek a direction from the Chief Justice as to whether criminal proceedings shall be instituted in the permanent High Court at Bar? Now, this permanent High Court at Bar was introduced for a specific purpose few years ago. You know about the Attorney General, right? When someone is going to, do a criminal act like murder, very sensitive ones, for example, right? As well, you might have heard it. The Attorney General's Department is the institution that represents the state and initiates cases against persons as such. Okay, so we all know about their Honorable Attorney General, what they do. It's really important. Their functions are so important for the country, right? So they are doing a lot of work for the betterment of the country as well. So we have to commend them on that, right? So this question is quite straightforward, right? You get around 2 marks for this one. So you have to pick the answer, right? We have 4 answers here. Primary Court Procedure Act number 44 of 1979, National Audit Act number 19 of 2018, the High Court of the Provinces Special Provisions Act number 10 of 1996, and we have the Judicature Amendment Act number 9 of 2018. So this number 44, 1949 or number 19 of 2018 is like the identity card number, for example, right? So the number and the year that it was passed. If you want to know how many laws were passed by the Parliament this year, I will tell you how it can happen, right? I don't want to take too much time for that because we have so much to discuss, right? Basically, if you go to the Parliament's website, what happens in the Parliament can be really hard to watch sometimes, but the website of the Parliament is the bomb, right? Nice, beautiful. It's available in all 3 languages, no discrimination. That is a good thing that I have seen in our governmental websites. All 3 languages are available, even if you go to the NIPO, right? National Intellectual Property Office website, or even if you go to the Company Register Department, everything is in Sinhalese, Tamil, and English. Good, really good. A very good step, right? It's very important. We all should be represented, right? We should not be divided based on a language or whatever other thing is, right? So here, the answer is the 4th one. Why is that? I have provided a small explanation to you, right? So sometimes questions can be really specific like that. I am really sorry for having so much details in the slides because I wanted to give you an overall perspective, not just the answer. You can find the answer, but we need to have some justifications behind the answer, right? So I have got this from one of the articles that I have read, right? So from CPA, so the record or the link is provided to you here for your reference. So when you get the slides, make sure you go through it and get an idea. So this is a direct extraction from that report, okay? Basically, when it comes to the Judicature Act, right, it provides an idea about the courts. It defines the jurisdiction of the courts, capabilities of the courts. The Sinhala term is Adhikarana Sanvidhana Panatu. Adhikarana balaya ගැන පූර්ණ විදිහට අවබෝධයක් අපිට ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපි අධිකරණ සංවිධාන පනත කියවොත් එහෙම. සමහර වෙලාවට අපිට සමහරලාට ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව බලන්නත් වෙනවා. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට පළාත්බද මහ අධිකරණ සම්බන්ධයෙන් provincial high courts, 13th amendment, things like that are really important. All right, so you have to refer to that as well. But the amendment for the Judicature Act in 2018 was done with a specific reason, right? So there, the permanent high courts at bar was introduced. It will consist of 3 judges who are sitting together, and they will hear cases and matters involving various financial and economic offenses. We have so many financial and economic problems in our country, not the ones that we have at the time, but you know, various types of offenses, right? Cheating, right? Commissions, whatever it is, not the commissions like commission vata, things like that. You know, various unethical conduct involving finance. We have so much problems, and that is depicted in the state that we are in as a country in terms of debt at the time. Okay, we don't see a lot of kind of like development, right, in our conditions and things like that, but there's a lot of debt. So it actually gives an idea that there's something wrong, right? All right. Okay, so here the answer to your question lies in the 4th bullet point. What does it say? What does it say? After considering several criteria, the Attorney General or the Director General for the Prevention of Bribery and Corruption. So do you know about the Bribery and Corruption Commission? 3 members are there, right? 2 members usually would be retired Supreme Court or Court of Appeal judges, and then 1 person who is an expert in criminal investigations. 3 persons are there. Very important commission, okay? If you do engage in crimes or like bribery and things like that, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well because the punishments are severe. Just go to the Bribery and Corruption website, and you'll be able to see recent cases who were caught for bribery and corruption, things like that. You'll see the details there. Okay, so even if you know, some people think that okay, when a police officer is going to catch you for committing a traffic offense, I have seen many saying, I gave 500 and then just went away. Don't do things like that. Okay, if someone is asking for money from you, if a police officer is asking money from you, not all police officers are like that. I have seen so many respectable, very committed, good police officers, but there are few who takes powers into their hand and tries to earn from it. If you provide 500 rupees, you will also be guilty under bribery and corruption, and the police officer will also be guilty, because giving and accepting both are wrong things. If you have not known about it, now know about it. Okay, right. Next one. Can refer these cases to the Chief Justice and ask whether criminal proceedings for such offences can be taken to the permanent High Court at bar or elsewhere. The Chief Justice, the Honourable Chief Justice, will decide as to whether the offences should be heard in a permanent High Court at bar or not. All right. So the answer, friends, for your question would be answer number 4, Judicature Amendment Act number 9 of 2018. This is actually one of the questions that I have seen from one of your past papers. All right. So that's why I just wanted to give you an idea about it. Okay. So I'm sure there are many other questions. I'm sure you have a lot of papers with you as well. So if you have any questions, just share them with Mr. Naveen, or you can send them via mail, no problem. Then I can concentrate on them as well, because they are your requests, and provide you an idea about those questions to you tomorrow in the next session that we are going to have. All right. So do ask questions. Okay. You are all welcome to ask any question that you have. All right. Now the next one, the moment that you've been waiting for. Are laws connected to business activities? Does it have a connection with the banking sector? All right. Now we have started a nice career, friends. If you want to engage in the banking sector, it's good. Right? It's good. It's good that you have made a decision to do it. It's something that you like, I guess. If you like it, and if it is legal, there's nothing that prevents you from doing it. All right. Okay. So you are in a good path. Now it's very important for us to have an idea as to, what are the laws that are applicable to our own discipline. Now, when we consider about myself, okay, right, it's around 6:30. Are you tired? Guys, are you tired? If you are tired, I can give you a few minutes as a break. If not, I can continue for the next 1.5 hours as well. How does it work for you? Are you tired? Is it difficult to hear out what I say as well? Do you need a small break? If you need, ask, right? Just share your thoughts in the chat window, right? If you need a break, tell me. If you enjoy what you learn, and if you think that you don't need a break, fine by me, right? I can continue for 3 hours. Just share your concerns. Okay, I'm not going to be angry if you say it's difficult. I will give you a break. Okay, but if you don't want, I can continue. No? That's why I just asked for your opinion. All right, so until you share your opinion, I will continue. Okay, right. What is the connection that the law has with banks? Does it have any connection? All right, I have some experience in filing cases for banks as well. So I have some idea about how proceedings would go within the banking sector, right? Small experience. I have been in a bank for some time. Okay. All right. So I'm getting answers, right? Happy to continue. All right, great. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madhushan. Others also, please share your perspectives. Okay. Right. Very good. Right. I feel so motivated because you are also interested. I have seen 11 of you are with me, and for the past 1.5 hours, all of you are with me. So I'm very happy to continue because I think you are interested as well. Very good. Nice. That was what I was thinking of, right? Okay. Now, others also, please share your perspectives. If it is difficult for you to listen, if you need a break, just keep me informed, all right? Okay. Then we have to consider about the connection between the laws, right, and what we do now. Do you think that laws are not applicable to us? Of course, it is applicable. How can we say that laws are not applicable for us? Okay, if I am caught for an offense, if I do a traffic offense, I will have to go to the magistrate's court, as the case may be. Okay, if I murder someone, I will be, I will be taken into custody, and then proceedings will be initiated. And someday for my trial, I have to end up in the High Court. Okay, there's no discrimination. Just because I'm a lawyer, just because I have spent 6 years of my life to become a lawyer, that's not going to count if I do something wrong. Okay, but please remember, every person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. වරදකරු බව ඔප්පු වෙන තාක්කල් සියලුම පුද්ගලයන් නිර්දෝෂී පුද්ගලයන් වේ. That is not something that we see much in our country as well. All right, okay. Akshana is saying break at 7 maybe. Okay, sure. Okay, sure, no problem. At 7 we can have a small break, right? Thanks, Akshana, for sharing that view. Now, there is a very important presumption in law. Okay, so people have problems with giving bail, right? There's a reason for that. But there are certain instances where bail can be denied. I'm not going to talk about them, right? But don't criticize just for providing bail. If bail is not provided, apatibun නැත්නම් හිතන්නකෝ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ නඩුව අහන්න අවුරුදු 5ක් යනවා කියලා. අපරාධ මෙවරදක් සම්බන්ධයෙන්. අප කියන දේ නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ අවුරුදු 5ම ඉන්න ඕනේ අත්අඩංගුවේනේ. ඒතකොට වරදිකාරය නොවේ නම් අවුරුදු 5ක් ඇයි අර ඉඳලා තියෙන්නේ punishment එකක් වගේ නේද? Right? So that's why for noble reasons, for good reasons, we have bail. Some people don't know that, so they criticize, but there are instances where bail cannot be given as well. Sometimes there can be problems what to do, right? We have to raise our voice regarding those issues. Okay, when you consider about the banking sector as well, or whatever the area that you would wish to work in, company law can be really important, right? It's like super important. Law of contracts, goodness me, everywhere we have contracts. Even if you are going to provide a small amount of money to the bus conductor, and when the bus conductor gives you a ticket, you have a contract with that person. When you go to the bakery, and when you ask for a fish bun from the, if you are a vegan, of course, don't have fish buns and things like that, you can buy something vegan. When you ask for something, and when you make the payment, the mudalali puts it in a bag and gives it to you, right? So in that situation, you have a contract with the mudalali. Online transactions, we have contracts. Banks, goodness, how many contracts do they have? Hire purchase agreements, leasing, mortgages, contracts, everywhere contracts. Okay, so you can't simply say, contracts they are old, okay, so I don't want contracts. That's not going to work. Givisu නීතිය අපි කරන හැම දෙයකම පාහේ තියෙනවා අපේ දිනදා ජීවිතේදී. ඒක බස් එකකට නැගලා ටිකට් එකක් ගත්තත් තියෙනවා. බේකරි එකට ගිහිලා කිඹුල බනිස් එකක් ගත්තත් එහෙම තමයි. කඩේකට ගිහිලා පොතක් ගත්තත් එතනත් contract එකක් තියෙනවා. කොහේ හරි institution එකකට ගිහිල්ලා අධ්‍යාපන ආයතනයකට ගිහිල්ලා ගෙවීමක් කළා මොකක් හරි පාතමාලාවකට ඉදිරිපත් වුණොත් එතනත් contract එකක් තියෙනවා. Contracts are here, they are everywhere, right? But contracts are different from usual agreements that we have. Can someone, you good friends of mine, can someone tell me a definition for a contract? A definition. You can raise your voice, no problems. I would like to hear from you as well. You don't have to switch on your cameras. I know you're at home, right? So can you just give me an idea about a definition for a contract. Can you come up with a definition for a contract? You learned contract law, right? I have seen some questions in the papers as well on specific performance. So you are very much aware about contract. Okay. So let me give you the opportunity to speak about contracts now. Can you define what a contract is? All right. What do you mean by a contract? What's a contract? What's so special about contracts? What is a contract? How do you think a contract is going to be formulated? How does it happen? Any ideas? You can, oh, right, I'm getting answers, good, right, excited, very good. A written or spoken agreement, all right, thanks, Edward. I will add something to that, very good, good attempt, very good, nice, thumbs up. Others, any other things? Right, okay, I got only one answer. What about the others? You can also share your perspectives, right? A contract is basically an agreement between two or more parties. If you stop from there, I think it is not complete, because we have agreements everywhere now. I can have an agreement with my wife, right? I can have an agreement with my friend. I can have an agreement with my mother. I can have an agreement with my brother. The list goes on. But all those agreements are not referred to as contracts. Do you remember the case Balfour versus Balfour, merit versus merit, under intention to create legal relations? All right. So what I would like to add to the answers that you have shared with me is something like this. A contract is an agreement. Agreement should be there, but all agreements can't be contracts. There's a reason for that. An agreement between two or more parties that the law will enforce. Right? යම් කිසි ආකාරයක පාර්ශ්ව දෙපාර්ශ්වයක් අතර හෝ ඊට වැඩි පාර්ශ්ව ප්‍රමාණයක් අතර තියෙනා වූ යම් කිසි ආකාරයක එකඟතාවයක් තමයි අපි ගිවිසුමක් කියලා හඳුන්වන්නේ. In order for an agreement to be referred to as a contract, there are elements that should be fulfilled: offer, acceptance, consideration, justa causa. If you can recall the Roman Dutch law principle, we use it here as well. Okay, under English law it's consideration, under Roman Dutch law it's justa causa. Just cause, කෞසාවක් කියලා කියනවා සිංහලෙන්, right? And then we have intention to create legal relations, certainty, okay, capacity. All these elements are there. If those elements are fulfilled, then we can say yes, there is an agreement between the two parties and it is a contract. Okay, so fulfilling these elements, it's really important. Consideration should be there, or causa should be there. Intention to create legal relations should be there. When you are getting into the contract, you should have the intention to enforce it, right? Now, when I just request my wife, okay, when you are coming from work, from courts, can you please bring a dozen of eggs, 12 eggs, please? If she doesn't bring it home, am I going to go to courts and start a case against her saying that, අනේ මම රැට ඔම්ලට් එකක් හදන්න හිටියේ මට ගොඩක් දුක හිතුණා ඒක නිසා මට රුපියල් 10000ක් ඕනේ වන්දි වශයෙන්? Would you do that? No. But if your education institution, after getting the amount that you have paid as fees, if they are not providing you the service, if they are not providing you the lectures, will you be happy? Would you say, fine, it's like a donation, or no problem? You won't say things like that, right? If someone is going to get money, or if someone is going to get a loan from a bank, can we say that they have no intention to make it a legally binding relationship? They do have. That's why we have to sign, I don't know how many signatures we have to use, right? So I'm sure you have experience in getting signs. I also have, a small lease, so I know how many places you have to sign. Right? At that time, I was not an attorney, so I did not have a lot of practical knowledge regarding how they work. So I remember I didn't even read some things. So if there's a provision which says that I have to give one of my kidneys if I can't pay, that is also there. There's also not valid agreements. But the thing is that there are different things we have to consider. We have to read and understand, and then we have to sign. Okay, so there are so many contracts. All right. So yes, as Edward has correctly stated, there are certain characteristics in contracts, right? Very nice. It can be a written agreement or spoken agreement. When it comes to contracts, it can come about in different ways. Written contracts, everything is in the written form. Oral contracts, sometimes we get into contracts by word of mouth. Okay, sometimes there are certain requirements that you have to fulfill, like you can't get into oral contracts in terms of what you call these land related contracts. By law, it is required for you to have a written contract for contracts regarding immovable property, land and things like that. All right. So be very careful about those things. An agreement can be entered into and it can be a valid contract even by way of written contracts, oral contracts, and even it can be implied by the conduct. Viyangen, පාර්ශවයන්ගේ හැසිරීම අනුව. වියංගෙන් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් ගිවිසුමක් ඒ පාර්ශවයන් අතර තියෙනවා කියන එකත්. Right? So there are a lot of things that we can consider about contracts, specific performance terms and conditions, kondesi, right? Various things are there that we have to consider. And then we have law of agency, right? Agency relationship, very important. Okay. How many times in our life we might have appointed someone to do something for us? We are appointing someone to do something for us. Happens a lot, right? Like for example, just consider about insurance schemes, right? Now I also got an insurance around 1 or 2 years ago, right? The insurance agent comes to you and tells you so many nice, not nice ways, right? These are not laughable matters. So many ways of death. They will tell you, you can die from this, you can die from that, you can die from this. My goodness, the list is, I don't even know some of the things, right? It's a possibility, right? Why do we insure life insurance? We insure our life because obviously families and right, there are dependents, right? Not dependents. I don't like to say dependents. There are parties who share our life with us, right? So when we are gone, okay, we can't decide when we will die or for how long we will, live. We can be healthy. We can try to be healthy. But the thing is, unexpected things happen in life. So there's a risk of things going wrong. So to tackle that risk, we use insurance as a tool, right? That's why it's very important that we get into these insurance agreements. But that is not the point that I'm trying to make in terms of agency. So this insurance agent comes to you, gives you an idea about the ways in which your life can be affected and tells you how important it is to have this insurance agreement. If you say, all right, okay, I also need an insurance agreement because I think these risks are very material. This can actually happen to me as well, and my family can be affected by it. I don't want bad things to happen to them. So yeah, let's go ahead with the insurance. All right. So then you make the offer to the insurance company, and the contract is going to be between you and the insurance company, not with the agent. What did the agent do? The agent connected me and your insurance company for a contract. Okay. The agent did it for the principal. The principal is the person who gave authority to the agent, the insurance agent, to come and meet me and connect me to them. Okay. The person who appoints another to do something on behalf of him, her, or it is the principal. Now, the insurance company recruited this agent and gave the agent powers, right, to go to various persons and see whether they are interested in insurance and connect them to the company. Right? So the principal and the third party, I am the third party because I was the person who made an offer for that specific insurance scheme. All right. I am the third party. Right. So the contract is going to be between myself and the insurance company who is the principal. Agency relationship is there in different places. Even agency relationship can be there in marriages. Okay. So there are various types of agency relationships, how it can happen, and various types of powers as well. Okay, so I'm sure you have an idea about. If you don't have an idea, but I'm sure you have, right? Don't worry. If you need more assistance, tell me. I will share some materials with you that I have got from Chartered Institute as well. Right, it's very important for you. Right, just consider about them as well. And then sale of goods, goodness, very important. Okay, when it comes to selling goods and all, you might be okay. Sale of goods. What do we sell? We don't sell goods. Yeah, no problem. But do you know that you are so much connected to international trade, letters of credit, LCs, very important. Even when it comes to things such as negotiable instruments, checks, what you do is remarkable, right? It's very important, all right? It can be loans or whatever it is. So sale of goods, you are obviously connected. Yeah, you are connected to that. You will not be selling goods like things like that. Okay, phone something like that. You are not going to sell, but you might be a party to sales agreements as well. Okay, in different capacities, not like direct, could be, but your company as a company might basically purchase things. No, when you go to the office, you have this nice comfy chair, right? And you have this nice table and the laptops where you stare at for the whole day, right? So obviously, even though you are a company, you have to buy things, right? So sale of goods, important. Negotiable instruments, I'm sure you are experts. You can teach me about negotiable instruments, and I'd be very happy to hear your experience regarding that as well. Electronic transactions, things are electronic all the time now. Okay, how or did we even imagine that we might have to do lectures like this, right? 2 years ago? No. But I knew something was going to change when this coronavirus started spreading and killing so many people. I knew that it might change a lot of things, right? And we are experiencing the change. Okay, but we have to be, we are fortunate to have these opportunities like to meet lecturers and persons online, and we are very glad that we are not affected by it. Of course, a lot of our friendly citizens have, bad things have happened. So even though still it is there, we are still continuing, right? So be glad about that as well, but you have to be sensitive to others as well, right? So electronic transactions really important. Electronic signatures. Okay. Now when I start a bank account, I have signed, give details and everything. Now I have seen one advertisement, if I'm not mistaken, from NDB, where the whole process can be conducted through internet, online. Extremely helpful, right? Extremely helpful. And online banking, which was not a very big deal some time ago. Now, online banking for me is something that I need, not because I have so much stacks of money or something like that, but it's very convenient, right? You don't have to go to places and deposit money. You can register some money even for a small kind of a payment. Even if it is for another account, 30 rupees would be the case now. But it's well worth it because I don't have to go to places, because the more I go out, the higher the risk would be for persons who are around me. Okay, it can be a student, my fellow colleague, it can be you, it can be my family, anyone, right? So very important. So electronic transactions, really important. It can be computer crimes. Now, let me tell you a nice thing about computer crimes. Do you know about the case Benwell versus Republic of Sri Lanka? Benwell versus Republic of Sri Lanka. This is regarding the evidence ordinance. Okay. Now, in banks, some people are doing things in a very smart way, right? There was this case, I can't remember the exact name. I can't remember whether even it's a Sri Lankan one, but I remember it in my head when I learned about those matters when I was an undergraduate. Now, this person, usually when we go through, now I am not blaming you, okay? Don't feel offended. Just because one person does something wrong doesn't mean that you are a bad person. Now, how many people are criticizing lawyers? Now, I am also one, but I am not offended because I am not a person like that, all right? So basically, what happened there was that this person who was managing the accounts, he came up with this way where a very simple amount, like 5 cents or 10 cents, something like that, to be deducted from the accounts and deposit in another account which belongs to him, right? So it's really important. Now, basically, sometimes when we don't see a big change in the big figure that we have, like if it is 60,000 or 100,000, small change like 5 cents, something like that, we don't sometimes see it, right? Okay, we sometimes don't keep track of it even. Okay, so here what happened was that this person has made a change in the program to deposit or reduce 5 cents or something like that and deposit in an account that belongs to him. Okay, it's a crime. It's a crime, even a computer crime, because you have made a certain system to function in a way that it is not supposed to function, right? So really important aspects. So you need to know about the electronic transaction. I'm sure you are very much aware about those things. I don't know how old you are and how much qualified you are in terms of these electronic things, okay? But I'm sure you have a good knowledge about it. So be very careful. And then we have specific laws regarding the banking sector. Yes, right? Debt recovery, it can be debt recovery, or it can be Bankers Act, right? There are so many things we have to discuss, right? And then we have other things such as laws on money laundering. Banks can be involved in the process of money laundering, and you have so many reporting requirements, friends, okay? You have to be very careful about money laundering. Can someone tell me what actually is meant by money laundering? Come on, you can tell. Just don't feel afraid to share your perspectives, right? It's not a competition, okay? Just share your perspectives. You don't feel ashamed to talk, okay? If you get something wrong, fine, right? Not a big deal. You don't get it wrong in the final exam, no. You are getting it wrong here if you get it wrong. and we have a good discussion about it anyway. Can someone tell me what money laundering is? All right, I'm going to give you a break quickly, but I just want you to give me an idea about what money laundering is. Yeah, money laundering. What do you mean by money laundering? Yeah, money laundering. What's the deal? What's the idea in money laundering? Any? Does it ring a bell? Money laundering. Yes. Is someone trying to speak up? Right. Any idea? Money laundering. All right, I'm getting answers. Conversion of illegally earned money into legally earned money. Oh, of course, spot on, right? So what happens is that, very good. What happens here is that you get dirty money. Now, assume that this cloth is dirty now. It looks very white now, but after anyone wears something like this, it's going to be dirty, right? So what do? You put it in the laundry, or you just wash it, right? And when you wash it and you do the rest of the things that should be done, it's good as new. You wear it in another day to another place. Yes. Okay. So it looks very fresh, very good. Now, even if you see in the sunlight ads, oh, roses, or the things like that. Okay. So it gives an idea about money laundering as well. Why? You get money from illegal ways. Okay. Like, for example, what are the illegal ways? Goodness, how many illegal ways of earning money is there? Heroin. Okay. Selling heroin. Assassinations, like you get money for assassinating people. Right? It can be bribery, something like that. Let me tell you one case. Now, my senior did not accept that case for his own reason, because he was not doing cases like that. But I just had the privilege of reading this statement from CID from this person. Many pages. It was like yeah big. Okay. So for hours and hours, he was questioned. Right. Now, this person. Now, there was this wonderful question asked from you in one of your past papers as well. We will discuss about it. Right. Surely we will discuss about it. Okay. I will discuss all those things, even if I can't do it today. Tomorrow, I will make sure that all the things are discussed, right? Doesn't matter even if it goes beyond 8 in the evening. So there, what happened was that now this person was not engaged in a very kind of like a lucrative, area of business. Okay, he was selling coconuts. Now, if you do it correctly, you can get a lot of money. But suddenly, now this person's bank records indicate significant differences. For many months, it was like 25,000, 30,000, which are also significant. 10,000, something like that. But suddenly it escalated to 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs. Even in certain days, it's 25 lakhs, right? And it is suspicious, right? So you have financial reporting requirements, friends, right? Okay, under different acts. You have to report them. We have financial intelligence units in Sri Lanka as well. So you have reporting requirements under the existing law. I will give an idea about it to you tomorrow, okay? Because tomorrow I will be mainly focusing on the banking areas, right? So when it comes to that, when it comes to the reporting requirements, obviously you see something fishy going on, because it's a huge escalation of various types of, transactions and things like that. It is a problem. It is an issue. So basically, it's going to raise some eyebrows, all right? What's going on here? Okay. Now, this person couldn't justify means in any way whatsoever. He could not say that he got this money from this person, All he said was that, I don't know, from someone I might have got it. I don't know from who. How can you say that for amounts like 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs? Suspicious, right? Okay. So people can get money from all sorts of different ways that are illegal. But there's a way that you can make it look like you have got the money from legal sources, and that is the process of money laundering. That is the process of money laundering. Okay, that is something you have to consider. Okay, so there are 3 stages. The layering stage is there, right, and the integration. There are a lot of stages. 3 stages. Okay, so we will talk about that: placement, layering, integration. Those 3 stages are the stages in money laundering. Okay, after the whole process is done, it is so difficult for us to detect from where you got the money. So you get illegal money, you put it into the financial system, right? In some countries, you have a lot of privacy in terms of your transaction. Okay, so they are not going to poke around from where you got the money and things like that. So that's why some people get their illegal money and go and deposit in other countries. Okay, and then afterwards, whatever the fixed deposit that you are going to engage in, whatever it is, the amount of money that you're going to get as interest, it's completely legal income, completely legal. So you are like trying to conceal, the origins of your finance, and you are trying to show it to others that this is legal income. If that is possible, if it is successful, it can be done. It can be done. Do you remember that TV series Breaking Bad, money laundering, right? So I'm sure some of you might know. I'm sure Mr. Kanishka might also know as well, right? So when we consider about Breaking Bad, that specific TV series, there what happens is that this person, a chemistry teacher, is going to engage in cooking this crystal meth, right? So he gets too good at it and he earns a lot of money, but he's a school teacher, right? School teachers have their own salary scale. We also have, usually we have, right? So even though he has millions and millions of dollars with him, he can't freely spend it, but if he does, it is going to raise a lot of eyebrows. Okay, so what he does is that with the assistance of his wife, he's trying to, he is going to he purchases a car wash, right? And he's trying to show with the receipts and everything, right, that all the money that he got was from the car wash. Okay, so for that he will pay income tax and everything, so he can use the rest of the money in any way that he wants. But it's very difficult to launder millions and millions through a car wash, right? So art industry can be a hotspot for money laundering. I have seen this art. I don't know, I admire art. I'm not an expert in art, right? Even though I'm not an expert in music, I enjoy music, but I can't sing, right? But the thing is that I have seen this art, this huge white, this canvas, completely blue, and there's a small white line from the top to the bottom. Millions worth. I was wondering what's the deal here, right? Like millions and millions. There are two bodyguards who are actually guarding that specific, I don't know, that art. Millions and millions worth. Okay. So if you just pretend to sell something like that, legal income, but you know that you got it from illegal means. So people are using different ways to shield their unlawful income and to show to the world and the authorities that they have got the income that they've got from legal means. So it's a really big problem that we have in this country and many countries. No one knows for sure how much money is laundered, even though we are in a very good state in technology. So much money is being laundered. No one can say with precision that this is the amount that has been laundered during this year. Difficult. But we have the legal system, we have the law, and we are trying to mitigate the effects of money laundering. Money laundering can have so widespread, very widespread kind of like effects. It can completely cripple the economy of a certain country even, because you don't know where your money goes. It's not legal, right? So many things like that can happen. All right. So next thing that we are going to discuss is from about company law, right? So I'm going to give you the break that you deserve now. All right. So would 10 minutes or 5 minutes do? How much time do you need? You can tell me. I'll be here, no problem. So whenever you are ready, I'll be able to start the session again. Since it's 7, one request came whether we can have a small kind of like a break. So how much time do you need? 10 minutes? Okay, all right, I'm getting responses. Okay, 5 minutes, great. All right, so I'll be here. You can have a wonderful break. It's around 6:58. Okay, 7:05, we can discuss 7 o'clock at the time. 7:05, we'll meet again, right? Okay, so then have a wonderful break. All right, friends, I see all of you here again for the session. So I hope you had a good kind of like a break. I know it's not too much, but you know, you are so into learning and I'm so motivated to talk about various things with you until the time that is provided to me, right? So if it is going to go beyond the time limited, no problem, right? We'll have a lot of discussions regarding these things, right? So first of all, we are now going to consider about company law. Company law, what it is, how important it is. Now, if you just consider about company law, even when it comes to banking authorities, you see, they are registered companies, right? Combank, PLC, right? Public limited companies, things like that. So company law is something from which that you can't detach. You are so connected to it, okay? And you will have so many contracts with different companies for different loan arrangements, all different sorts of things. Company law runs through the system as well. Really important, and it's very beneficial if you know a lot about companies law as well. So I'm sure you know about company law, and the main law that is applicable for companies under the Sri Lankan law would be the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Before that, we had another act, the old act, which was repealed, was passed in 1982, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so even though a company is registered under the previous act, some time was given for those companies to re-register under the new act as well. So the main law that is applicable in terms of company affairs would be the Companies Act. It's a really big one, right? Many sections are there. I'm sure you have seen it. Very comprehensive, and I have Dr. Cabral's book on company law. It's like yay big, right? It's very big, but no worries, right? It has a lot of facts regarding company law and all. That's why the book is a very big book, right? So if you want to read it, you can read it as well. There are so many books on company law. You don't have to read that book, right? Because you have so many books that you can read on company law, obviously. So it's your preference, actually. All right. So now we are moving on to consider about what companies are. I'm not going to take too much time on explaining to you about companies, because I'm quite sure that you are very much literate about what companies are and how important they are. Companies are, friends, it's basically a business structure. When you are going to engage in a certain business, there are certain structures that you can get from a shelf, right? It's not like practically a shelf, but what I'm trying to tell you is that there are various options that you have when you are starting a business. If you want to keep things simple, okay, and if you don't have intentions of expanding too much, and if you want to keep things simple, and if you don't want others to intervene in your matters, if you want to manage your business alone, if you want to be the sole owner, if you want to keep things simple, what would be the best business structure for your business? Yeah, I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. What's the best business structure for you under such circumstances? Like if you want to keep things simple, if you want to be the sole owner, if you want to manage it on your own, if you want to be entitled to the full profits of the business that you are engaged in, what is the business structure that you can actually choose from? What is the business structure that you would choose? All right, I'm getting answers. We'll see. Excited. All right, sole proprietorship, of course, to the fact. Nice done. Nice work, Edward, right? Nicely done. So basically, based on your expectation, now if you want some other partners to help you out, if you want to collaborate with others, partnerships, right? Partnerships. So if 2 or more persons, but the higher upper limit is there according to the Companies Act, provisions of the Companies Act, 20 persons would be the upper limit, but there can be more than such partners, number of partners, more than 20 for different other types of professional partnerships, including lawyers, dentists, persons as such. But basically it's 20, the higher limit, 2 is the minimum one. Okay, so there are different types of advantages and disadvantages. One of the biggest disadvantages in sole proprietorships and also partnerships, what is the biggest advantage? All right, what is the biggest advantage? What do you think? Not the advantage, what is the biggest disadvantage? Both common in ordinary partnerships and sole proprietorships. What is the biggest disadvantage? Yeah, I'm sure you know. Feel free to tell. What's the biggest disadvantage? Yes, biggest disadvantage? It starts with you, right? Unlimited liability. Okay, unlimited liability. In a partnership and in a sole proprietorship, you have, as a sole trader, or as a sole proprietor, or as a partner, you have unlimited liability. In a partnership, it's joint and several liability. Jointly and severally liable for all the related affairs in the partnership. In a sole proprietorship, if you are a sole trader, you will be alone by yourself, responsible for all the affairs of the business, because the business is you. You are the business. Companies, friends, there's a small difference. Why? Why? Shareholders are there and the business is there, but they are not like this, right? They are two separate individuals, which is why we refer to companies as a separate legal entity. Okay. Now I told you about limited liability partnerships. It's a trendy thing which you can see in the United Kingdom as well. It shares, it's like a hybrid of, you know, the usual ordinary partnerships and also companies. It's like a hybrid. Okay. It's quite, you know, famous in the UK system. Here, it's not that kind of like, I don't know, I think it's not very much famous in the sense that the provisions are quite old that we have when it comes to, not, I don't know, right? It's not a very good thing to say. I know, but the thing is that when it comes to the legal provisions, our legal system in terms of partnerships appears to be a bit old. So that is an issue there. But when it comes to companies, of course, it's a separate legal person who is distinct from its owners. Okay, that's the main important thing about companies, because company is a separate legal person. Commercial bank PLC, right? For example, it's a separate legal person. When you enter into, when commercial bank enters into a contract with another person, it is between the commercial bank and the other person. Okay, there's a difference between natural persons and legal persons, friends. What's the difference between natural persons and legal persons? What's the difference? Am I a natural person? Are you a natural person? Of course, you are a natural person. We are born naturally. Naturally, we are persons. All right. So legally, we are recognized as persons from birth. We are separate persons. Now, you can clearly make decisions on your own, legal ones indeed, after the age of 18, because after the age of 18, you are going to be a person who went over the age of majority. Went over in the sense you reached the age of majority. Bad choice of words, okay, not went over. You have reached the age of majority. Okay, there you can make decisions because you are not a minor anymore. All right. So, however, if you want to make a decision, if you want to study something, you enter into a contract with the institution. Okay. When you want to get into a certain type of an agreement with a certain company, okay, you do it by yourself. Okay, you get into the contract by yourself. All right, you can do it, no issue, because you are a person who is capable of doing things like that. Okay. Secondly, when we consider about, for instance, I think one of your mics are on. Can you please see whether you can unmute it? Sorry, mute it, please. I hear some sounds. That's why I asked, right? Just check whether your mics are on mute, okay? Otherwise, we'll hear different sounds, right? Okay, then. No problems, okay? Don't worry, don't worry. Don't feel ashamed. No issues. So, this next thing that we need to consider about legal personalities, okay? Legal personalities or separate legal persons are also persons, but they are becoming persons due to the exercise of law. We are naturally persons now, but a company is going to be referred to as a person because the existence of a law. Okay, and that law would be the Companies Act, number 7 of 2007. If it wasn't for the law, all these companies that we have in our country will not be referred to as legal persons. It's a problem as to whether companies can exist. Without the companies law, how can there be companies? All right. So then you might be thinking, how do we, oh, okay, of course you will know about it. Then how do things happen in companies? Companies are distinct persons, but there is no specific person in the name of a company. Now you can meet me somewhere, you can see me, you can talk to me, no problem. But have you seen, for example, commercial bank somewhere? Have you meet the person? Hey, commercial, how are you? Have you seen that person? Pan Asia, have you seen somewhere? Of course, branches can be there, but have you seen the person? Now you might have seen my picture here and there, right? So there you did not meet me at that time when you saw the picture and the post. But now you are like meeting me virtually, so you know that I'm there. But have you seen Pan Asia somewhere like that? Have you seen HSBC somewhere like that? No, there is no person. But business happens. How? Through agents. through agents. When it comes to a company, the directors are very important. The directors are managing the company for the benefit of the company, and thereby will benefit the shareholders. And the shareholders, friends, are the real owners of the company. Shareholders will be the real owners of the company. But the managers are the directors. So directors are more like employees, whereas shareholders are the owners. And it's a very kind of like a complicated thing as well, because there are various types of shares, different shares. And then we have ordinary shares. If you buy ordinary shares, you'll be able to, vote. Voting rights will be there. You'll be representing the ordinary share capital, right? So very important things. If you buy preference shares, you will not have voting rights. Okay. And under preference shares, do you remember, if you have done commerce for your advanced level examinations, okay, for business law, you might have learned about various types of preference shares. Okay, so many types of preference shares are also there. And then we have the debt capital. Okay, for example, debentures, things like that. It can be a really complicated deal. So since mainly when it comes to not private companies, when it comes to public companies, okay, in public limited companies, when they are listed companies, people can buy shares from those companies through the share market. No? So basically what happens in the company is that all the money that they get from different investors from all around the world, they are using it for the benefit of the company. So if something is going to go wrong in that, it's the public's money that the company is going to misappropriate. That's why when it comes to these listed companies, the reporting requirements are crazy strict. They are so strict. You have to share the reports as per the provisions of the Companies Act. You have to do a lot of reporting. Corporate governance requirements are there so much. All right. That's why there are so many requirements like that. But the main differentiating factor from the other types of business structures when it comes to a company is the separate legal personality it has. And the next thing, what is the other thing? What is the other thing? You can see the answer here. It's highlighted as well. What's the other best thing about companies? Perpetual succession. Akanda pavatma. Okay. Just think about some companies. Some companies are so old, right? Older than the usual lifespan of a human being. Nowadays, it's like more like 70 to 80. It fluctuates between 70 to 80. But I have seen companies which are old, like 150 years, 200 years, right? Can be the case. How is it possible? How can a person live so long? It's because of perpetual succession. Akanda pavatma. Directors might change, shareholders might change, employees might change, but the company will go on until it is wound up. ඉසුර හැරීම සිදුවන තාක්කල් සමාගම පවතිනවා. වැඩ කරන අය සේවකයෝ වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කොටස් හිමියෝ වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අධ්‍යක්ෂක මණ්ඩලය වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලෝ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකක් වුණත් කම්පැනි එක දිගට පවතිනවා. Perpetual succession. Another important kind of a characteristic that you can see in companies. You don't see it in sole proprietorships as well, because the sole trading activity is the sole trader. I am the business is me. When I am gone, the business is gone. Sometimes some people might continue, but basically that's what happens. All right. The business usually dies with the owner. Okay. Very important. Partnerships, it's a bit complicated than that. Right, because one partner may die, the other partners may be there. One partner may quit, and the other partners might recruit another one. There are some complications, but not much complications in the sole proprietorship business structure. When it comes to registering a company, there are certain requirements. You know about it already, I guess. So the articles of association and some other documents should be there. Form 1 should be also filled, and then it should be shared with the relevant, company registrar. And of course, at the conclusion, you'll be given the company registration, you'll get a certificate, right? Okay, so I'm sure you know about Sanstha Sangamika Vyavastha is a different case, right? And then we have Sangamika Sanstha Patra, something like that. I don't know whether the words are very accurate. I know, sorry, right? I'm using bad words, very sorry, right? Bad choice of words. Okay, some words can be a bit inaccurate because sometimes I confuse between them, right? Very sorry about that. But you know what is meant by them, right? We have the prospectus, which invites people to buy shares of the company, right? So that there's so many things that you can consider, and there are so many requirements. Okay, so we'll see what those requirements are. So are you all okay with the explanation that I have given for companies? Is it fine? Do you need more insights? So there are a lot of features there. The share capital is one. When it comes to voting rights, remember If you buy 1 share from a company, you have 1 vote. 1 share, 1 vote. Okay. So if you buy 100 shares, 100 votes. If you buy 1,000 shares, 1,000 votes. Okay. Please remember that as well. All right. So basically, sometimes we say if you have higher share capital, you have higher control over the company. Is it a fair thing to say? Exactly. It is a really fair thing to say. Why is that? Because I told you, when you have 1 share, you have 1 vote. So that means if you have 5,000 shares out of 6,000, you can vote for anything. You have so much control, be it special resolutions, ordinary resolutions. You have so much power in the company. You have kind of like full control. Okay, because you have a lot of control in terms of voting as well. Very important, right? And then what are the other features? Separate legal personality. We have discussed about this. You can't forget this case, Solomon versus Solomon. If you can remember, if you have done accounting for advanced level examinations, I'm sure you might have learned about Solomon versus Solomon for accounting, which gives an idea about separate legal personality. Garner versus Murray, Garner idiwa Murray, Solomon idiwa Solomon, right? So I'm sure you can remember separate legal personality. Now this Lee versus Lee's Air Farming Limited is also a very nice case. Let me explain it to you quickly, okay? Do you know about this case? If you don't know, just send a small message to the chat box, okay? In Lee versus Lee's Air Farming Limited, now this Mr. Lee was basically the owner of this business, okay? There were 3,000 shares in the company, and how many did Mr. Lee own? 2,999 shares were his shares. So basically, it's the company of Mr. Lee. All right, basically, all right, so you didn't know. Right, Edward is saying that he did not know about the case. No problem, right? This is an extra case for your reference, okay? Just to expand your knowledge, all right? So here, I'm so happy that you're learning new things today as well, right? Very good, right? Awesome. Read this and keep it in your mind. I'll just explain it. Now, this person, Mr. Lee, had 2,999 shares in the company, and the other share, it belonged to, just assume it belonged to his wife. Okay. One day when he was doing some work for the company, like flying an aircraft, okay, there was an accident and he died. And his wife started a case against the company asking for compensation. Vande illala nadukarayak patan gatta Mr. Lee mahatmayage birinda. Kata viruddhavada? Samagamata viruddhava. Okay, Samagamata viruddhava. Against the company, Mrs. Lee has started a case against the company asking for compensation for the husband's death. Now, people might think, what craziness is this? This dude, Mr. Lee, had 2,999 shares of the company. He is practically the owner. So how can you start a case against the company? Right? What did the court say? The company said, of course you can. You can start a case against the company. Why? Company is one person. Shareholders or owners, they are other persons, separate persons. Yes, they have a connection. Shareholders are the owners of the company, but that doesn't change the fact that the company is a separate legal person from the owners, shareholders. So basically, the case was successful. Why is that? It was successful because of the separate legal personality that the company has. Okay, savvy, understood? If you have any problems, just send a small chat message. Okay, if you understood, just send something like okay or something, or emoji, whatever it is. You can use emojis as well on Zoom as well. Oh yes, they're there. Just send an emoji. All right. Okay, then we are moving on to piercing of corporate veil. What do you mean by corporate veil? Okay, when you are sleeping, assume that today in the morning it was extremely rainy. Now when it is rainy, right, in the outside world, if it is rainy, usually it's a bit cold, right? So when it is cold, to reduce the effects of the cold nature in the environment, we use this magical thing called the blanket. All right. So when a certain company is incorporated, company affairs will be conducted by its managers and the employees. The nice thing about companies is that if something wrong happens, now I am the one who is working. Now assume that I am the person who is conducting the company affairs, right? But when the company is incorporated, this company is going to protect me with this corporate veil, just like a blanket protecting us from outside threats like ghosts, okay, and small insects, mosquitoes, cold. Everything is, you know, the blanket is saying, hey, no, something like that. Okay, so they are protecting. Corporate veil is something like that. There is no visible kind of a radical as the corporate veil, but it's a legal construct which says what happens within the company, everyone within the company, they are protected by the corporate veil or the separate legal personality of the company. Okay, so if something wrong is done by the company, if something wrong is done by me representing the company, if you are the person who got affected by the wrong thing that was done by me while conducting company affairs, you will start a case not against me but against the company. Why? Because I am protected by the corporate veil. I am protected by the corporate veil. But sometimes people do use this for wrong reasons. People use this for wrong reasons. Okay. Do you know about this case, Guilford Motors Limited versus Horn? I will just give you a basic idea about a different scenario. Now assume when you go and get yourself employed in a certain bank or any organization, there will be non-disclosure clauses, okay, and there will be various other things such as non-competing clauses saying that you would not compete with this business within this area, something like that. There can be restrictive covenants in your contracts as well. So read well. Okay. Now assume you hired me for your company. When I signed the contract, you clearly instructed me, hey, when you leave my company someday, okay, don't start a competing company, a competitor within 1 kilometer radius. 1 kilometer වපසරියක් ඇතුළත තව company එකක් සමාගමක් මට විරුද්ධව පටන් ගන්න එපා. මෙතන සේවා කාලය ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ කියලා තියෙනවා. Then මම කියනවා කමක් නෑ, okay. I'll say yes, of course, no problem. While I was there in your business, I got a lot of contacts through you. Okay, a lot of people. Contacts are very important. Okay, contacts is the key. Okay, so when it comes to that, after I got a lot of contacts and after I got an idea about the business, then what I did was that I'm telling you, hey, I want to stop my employment here. I'm going to give you the letter of resignation and I'm going. Then you say, okay, it's your choice. Thank you for your services. And then you make the payments and everything. Everything is done. What I do is that now I found a nice place to start a business. I am going to start the exact same business that you do. ඕගොල්ලෝ කරන ව්‍යාපාර ක්‍රියාවම තමයි මම කරන්න හදන්නේ. ව්‍යාපාර කටයුතු මම කරන්න හදන්නේ. මට ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? පුළුවන්. හැබැයි කිලෝමීටරයක වපසරයක් ඇතුළත බෑ. බිස්නස් ප්ලේස් එක තියෙන තැන ඉඳලා. ඉතින් එහා තැනක තමයි පුළුවන්. Okay, I can't do the same business within 1 kilometer radius. Okay, but I found a nice place 200 meters away from your business place. Okay, meter 200ක් දුරින් මට හොඳ තැනක් හම්බුණා මගේ business එක කරන්න. හැබැයි මම කරන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන දේම තමයි. Now I am thinking, all right. මට මෙතන මෙහෙම clause එකක් තියෙනවා. I have a clause like this in my contract which says I should not start a competing business against you. All right? Within 1 kilometer radius. එතකොට මම හිතනවා, so then I think my cunning kind of like brain thinks like this. Okay, the contract is against me, no? But if I start a company, there is no contract which prevents my company from starting a case or from starting a business activity. Right? මට විරුද්ධවනේ contractual clause එක තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි company කට විරුද්ධව නෙමෙයිනේ තියෙන්නේ. Because the company is a separate legal person. Okay, so then I register a company and then I start my business activities only 200 meters away from your business place, completely violating the non-competing clause that I have in my contract with you, that I had, or still applicable, right? What will happen there? What will the court say? There, I will not be protected by the corporate veil. The court is going to lift the corporate veil and find me completely liable for what I have done. Okay, this is actually challenging the separate legal personality of a company, but for good reasons, because people can use the corporate veil for conducting wrongful things like the one I just told you. So if you are using the corporate veil for a benefit that will not be guaranteed to you legally, then the corporate veil will be removed and you will be found liable individually and not the company. Okay, did all of you understand? All okay, all good, or did I confuse you? I hope I did not confuse you. Did you understand the whole situation? You can just share a small comment. Okay, you can just, if you just include by or something like that. So okay, Edward, thank you very much, he understood. Akshana understood, very good, right? I hope the others also understood, right? You can just talk. Okay, Madhushan, thank you, you also understood, right? Good to hear that, right? I hope the others also understood. All right. Okay, so perpetual succession, we have discussed about that, and let us go for a small question. All right, so this is a very easy question. I am sure you can answer this question with your eyes closed, but don't close your eyes when you are writing answers. All right, so here, what are the differences between a partnership and a limited liability company? I have seen a question like this in one of your past papers as well. What are the things you can write? You know so many things. Define the terms, okay? If it was me, I would define first, and then I would use, for example, this is my way of writing, right? So I don't know how much acceptable it would be for your examinations, but there's a way in which we write answers. No, we usually compare the two, right? So basically what we have to do is we have to compare the two. No, so we find various criteria like separate legal personality, existence of the business, profits, who is going to get the profits, who manages the company, everything we can just say it like that. But if it takes too much time, you can specifically indicate the characteristics, okay, of the partnerships and limited liability. Basically, they will be different, no? So in that sense, you are giving an idea about the differences as well, okay? So whatever the way that was instructed to you, you can do it, but please keep everything factually correct, okay? Keep everything factually correct and accurate, all right? And also consider about the number of marks allocated as well, right? Even in the university, sometimes I see some students, right? Very good students, right? I love them a lot. But the thing is that sometimes for 2 marks questions, they write pages and pages, like 5 pages, something like that. It's a waste of time actually, because the allocated marks reflects how much analysis that you have to do in the question. So for a 2-mark question, if you write 50 pages, something like that, it's a waste of effort and time. Okay, so be very mindful about that factor. And then what are the disadvantages of companies? This is actually a question that I incorporated here. There can be disadvantages, yes. Starting a company is convenient, but not so convenient. Okay, you have to make payments for registration fees, and there are so many forms that you have to come up with. And even after you register it, there are so many requirements that you will have to fulfill depending on the type of your company, especially when you are a listed company, a public limited company. Okay, so many reporting requirements. It can be so complex, right? So there are so many things that you have to consider. So just as you understand about the advantages of a company, also try to remember about the disadvantages as well. We don't know what they will ask, right? So it's always good to have the good side and the bad side, both sides. Right? Then there's another important thing. Which of the following that had not been recognized by the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 as a statutory duty of company directors? All right, friends, who do you mean by directors? Who do you mean by directors? I told you, directors are basically the managers of a company. All right, sorry about that. Directors are basically the managers of the company, right? They are basically the managers of the company. I'm sorry, there's a small problem. Yeah. All right. Okay, problem solved. Directors are the managers of a company. They do manage the company and take care of the company affairs on a daily basis. Whereas the shareholders, even though they are the owners, all the shareholders are not going to take part in the day-to-day business of the company and make decisions. Okay, they are not going to do it on a daily basis. Of course, some shareholders can be appointed as directors as well. That's not a problem. But all the shareholders, for example, in a publicly limited company, if there are 1,000 shareholders, all 1,000 shareholders, they are not going to take part in the specific, for example, this company administration on a day-to-day basis, on a daily basis. So it's the directors who would do it for them. All right. So when it comes to directors, friends, you need to understand that there are various types of duties that the directors would have. Various directors that they owe towards the company. If the directors go that, okay, it's not going to do very well. If the directors go crazy, it's not going to do very well for the company and thereby for the shareholders as well. So back in the day, there was a time where these directors' duties were only there in case laws, in the common law, not as a part of the statute. Now we all know we have a specific statute called the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Before that, we had another act. Okay, it is not there now because the new act replaced it. Okay, so there was a time where these duties were not in the statute. They were decided on a case-by-case basis when things were questioned in a court of law, right? So when it comes to directors' duties, you will find common law directors' duties, duties of directors as depicted in the common law, and directors' duties that are depicted in the statutory law. If you just consider the Sri Lankan Companies Act, the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, you'll clearly see what duties do the directors have towards the management of the organization and towards the organization, and what binds them when they are handling the affairs of the company. All right. So basically, when it comes to company law and the director's duties, we do have common law duties as well as statutory duties. Common law from one side, statutory law from the other side. Okay. But we do have a statutory law now. It's very specific, but still we refer to common law duties as well because they go in line together. So the cases and case laws that are decided, before these laws were actually, before these requirements or duties were recognized in the Companies Act itself, those are really important. Okay. So basically, when it comes to acting in good faith, really important. Disclosing interest in transactions. What do you mean by interest? When you are working as a director, friends, right? Even if you are an employee at a certain place, if you have any kind of a conflict in interest, like you can be interested in transaction in different ways. Like, for example, you might want to buy something that is sold by your company, or the buyer might be your brother, or the buyer might be your daughter, or the buyer might be your wife or your husband. So that means you have a connection with the person who intends to buy the company property. So that means you have a conflict. Okay. If you are buying, you will try to get it for a lower price. No, you will not always try to do it in a very fraudulent way. But there's a conflict, right? You would want benefits, and on the other hand, the company, you have to work for the best interest of the company, and you have your own interest as well. There's a conflict, right? So if you have an interest as a director, for example, it is a must for you to indicate your interest and share it in the company, interest register. Very important, right? Very important. You might be doing things in good faith, but still, if you have any conflict of interest, please do disclose it according to the law, right? You might be thinking, okay, I'm not a company director. Imagine, right? Dream big. You can be the company owner of a very successful company in the future. You can be a director of a very successful company in the future. So in that sense, you might remember, this dude few years ago told me that I have to respect all the duties in the Companies Act as a director, and if I have a conflict, I have to disclose it. Yes, do it. Okay, do it. Skill and care, very important. This doesn't mean that you need to have a PhD or something like that. No, no, no. What it means is that basically, when we are making a decision, we use this, and we use our experience, we use our skills. All right. You have to use it in the same way when you are making a decision in the company as well. That is what is expected from you. That also the duty. Secrecy, it's a problem as to whether it is a directly accepted duty under the Companies Act. All right. If you are interested in knowing about the duties, here you go. Now, this part I have included for you to consider when you are writing the answer for the first question that we discussed. Okay. And disadvantages are also there. If you are interested in knowing who a director is, section 529 of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 defines who a director is. It's like adding a cherry on the top of the answer, right? But don't write too many details, unnecessary things. Keep things to the point and write properly, right? Answer very comprehensive, good to the point answers, right? Okay. And here you go. The director's duties under common law. Common law, see, under common law, mainly two things are there: duty of loyalty and duty of care, skill and diligence. Okay. Now, under duty of loyalty, for example, see how many duties are there. Duty to act bona fide, in good faith. Bona fide enemy, right? Like not something like you are drinking or something. This is about, considering about the best interest, in good faith, on the hiti, right? Duty to act for the proper purpose. When you are doing something, you have to do it for a purpose, not just doing it for something, right? When you are studying, you have to study with a purpose. When you are studying banking law, you are studying with a purpose. When you are studying an LLB, for an LLB, you are doing it with a purpose. Purpose is very important, and the purpose should be a good thing. If you are studying LLBs to find out ways to evade liability for money laundering, money laundering මුදල් විශුද්ධ කරන්නේ බේරෙන්න පුළුවන් විදිහ හොයාගන්න වගේ එහෙම කරනවා නම් it's not a good purpose, right? When you are doing things in a company, even when it comes to issuing shares or something like that, it should be done for a proper purpose, not for some wrong purpose. Okay. Conflict of interest, we already know about that. Duty to avoid misusing corporate information. Never misuse corporate information. As a director, as an attorney in the company, as an employee in the company, you will be getting so many very price sensitive information, friends. Someday you'll get some information, you may already have it with you. It's okay to have them, but don't use it for wrong purposes. If you do that, you will fall under the offense of insider dealing under the Securities and Exchange Commission Act. Okay, insider dealing. Okay, insider dealing. When you have price sensitive information, when you have access to price sensitive information, if you are using it for wrong purposes, like you know that your company is going to enter into a very good contract in the future with another company, and if that happens, your company price in the sense the share prices are going to boost. So you quickly call your brother, hey brother, our company is going to enter into this contract. Okay, buy some shares now itself. Okay, and keep it with you so that we can sell it to a higher price later. That is, friends, insider dealing. Okay, if you wait until the transaction goes on and then you purchase the shares for the relevant price, that's completely okay. But if you use the price sensitive information for your benefit to secure yourself a benefit, then you will be committing the offense of insider dealing under the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. Remember that. All right, do not make profits from the position of being a director. Okay, there are so many cases, right, that you can consider, and even under trust ordinance there are some duties that the directors will be also bound with. Okay, the trust ordinance, Bala Sambandha Nitya. Okay, it says you have a fiduciary duty, right? You have a duty. It is the highest standard of duty, especially when it comes to handling finance and things like that for another person. See, the trust ordinance, section 19, this extra knowledge. Okay, and then we have the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Since I have given you a basic idea about the duties that you have as a director when you become one in a company, let us go through it very quickly. In terms of the management of the company, you have to make sure that you do it according to the articles of association. Okay, and section 187, you have to act in good faith, right, in the interest of the company, for the benefit of the company, to reach the best result for the company. You have to conduct your ways. Okay, when you are doing something, do it for the best of the betterment of the company, in good faith, completely believing it to be in or to benefit the company, right? Completely believing that what you do would benefit the company, right? Based on that, you conduct your affairs, right? In good faith, bona fide or bona fide as spelled by some, right? Or not mala fide or mala fide. Like for example, mala fide means in bad faith, with bad intention. Good faith means your intentions are very clear, right? They are very good, pure ones. Okay, purely believing or honestly believing things, you do certain things. All right. Okay, and then we have directors should comply with the Act and the company's articles. That is also, friends, another duty of the directors. Directors' duties can be seen in different places, friends. Even in terms of insolvency, directors do have duties. Okay, so you have to respect the Act and the articles of association. Right? Articles of association is like the constitution of the company, friends. All right, so you have to respect your articles of association in the company when you are conducting your affairs, obviously, while respecting the provisions of the company's as well. And then standard of care. What is the degree of care that you should have when it comes to right? Okay, I think a mic, one of your mics are on, so can you please see whether it's on, right? Because I hear some sounds, right? Okay, no problem. Next one, director standards of care. Director standards of care. Right? A person who is exercising powers or performing duties as a director company shall not be reckless or grossly negligent. We make mistakes. When we judge things, we use our skills, right? And we do the best we can, but sometimes, unfortunately, we are wrong. That is not reckless or negligent. Okay. When you are making a financial decision, usually you will just take all the financial reports and then you will think, okay, I should do this, I should do this. The current ratio is good, right? But the gross profit ratio is also okay. The net profit ratio is a bit low. Okay. So the asset ratio is a good one, right? So you make decisions based on the information that you get. Okay. Now I am your accountant. I prepare all the financial reports and I provide you the ratios as well. And when you make a decision, you get the report and you just put it somewhere and then you make a decision. There you are being negligent and reckless. When you are making a decision, you should be very clear about the financial status of your company. Very important. Right? I am still hearing some sounds. All right. Okay. All right. So please see into the fact that your mics are switched on, okay, when you're not answering, because I see a lot of, I hear a lot of sounds. That's why. All right. So then you have to exercise the degree of skill and care that can be reasonably expected from a person of knowledge and experience, but can be expected from you. All right. That is what you need to consider. So there's this case, the Brazilian Rubber Plantation Estates Limited, which would give you a basic idea about the standard that is expected from you when it comes to your conduct in the company. And use of advice and information, very important. When you are making a decision, you obviously need to rely on other people's advice. Okay. Now, just because I'm an attorney at law, that doesn't mean that I do everything alone. I do refer to my seniors, my colleagues, my friends, right? Doesn't matter whether they are from the business field or whatever it is, they might have expertise that I don't have. So when I am making a decision, I turn to them and I ask, what should I do? Do you have any experience in this? Can you just give me your opinion on this? It's not a wrong thing to seek for opinions of different persons, but you should get reliable information from proper persons, not every person in the world. Okay, so it is not wrong for you to go and obtain information from a person who has knowledge and expertise regarding the area on which you are trying to make a decision. තීරණයක් ගන්නකොට කෙනෙක්ගෙන් උදව් ගන්න එක වරදක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක්ට පොදු දෙයක්. තීරණයක් ගන්නකොට සමහර දේවල් සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි හැම දෙයක්ම දන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් නීතිය ගැන ඕගොල්ලෝ මගෙන් හැම දෙයක්ම දන්නවද කියලා අහුවොත් මම දන්නේ දේවල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. තියෙනවා. දන්නේ නැති දේවල් තියෙනවා. මොකද අපි සමහර ලාවට අපි දන්නේ නැති විදිහේ ආඥාපනක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, පනක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මට වඩා දැනුම තියෙන නීතිඥයෝ තව ඉන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ මගේ උගත් නීති යාළුවෝ වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, වෙන අය වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ වෙලාවකදී මම දන්නේ නැති දෙයක් කෙනෙක්ගෙන් අහලා දැනගන්න එකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඒ වගේම තමයි අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක් විදිහට ක්‍රියා කරනකොට එතනදී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණොත් එහෙම මොන හරි දෙයක් සම්බන්ධ තොරතුරු දැන ගැනීම අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. එහෙම නැත්නම් යම් කිසි ආකාරයක ඇඩ්වයිස් එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් උදව්වක් ගන්න ඕන නම් ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක ගත්තට ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි නිසි ආකාරයක එක වෙන්න ඕනේ. So you can see in section 190 it says a director of a company can rely on reports, statements, financial data, and other information provided and supplied, and on professional expert advice given by any of the following persons. You can rely on an employee of the company, a professional advisor, another director, or a committee of directors. You can rely on them, not every other random person. Now you are a director, you are just looking like this in near the road. So I am just walking randomly nearby, and then you ask, hey, mommy, investment account, that's not going to work. Okay, because when you are asking for or seeking for advice, there are persons from whom you can seek for advices under section 190 of the Companies Act of Sri Lanka. All right, so remember that. And then disclosure of interest, I told you about the interest register is section 192. And what do you mean by interest? That is defined in section 191. I don't think you need to know a lot about it, but just remember that there is a section like this. right? And read it. And if you have questions, ask tomorrow, okay? And then we have use of company information, all right? You can use company information for different instances. This is also a duty, okay? But you should not disclose it to everyone without any point. But there are certain instances where you will have to disclose this. Now, ව්‍යාපාරයක් ගත්තාම තොරතුරු ගොඩාක් අපිට තියෙනවානේ. දැන් අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක් වෙනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව ගොඩාක් තොරතුරු තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මම APIIT ආයතනයේ හිටියට අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරුන් සතු සියලුම ආකාරයේ තොරතුරු මම දන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක මට අවශ්‍ය නැති වෙන්නේ හේතුව තමයි. මොකද එතන විවිධ විදිහක වෙනස් විදිහක දෙයක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. තීරණ ගැනීම, අනාගත සම්බන්ධ තීරණ ගැනීම. ලෝ ස්කූල් එකේ කොටසක් විතර අපිත් තීරණ ගන්නවා. හැබැයි මැනේජ්මන්ට් එකේ නැත්නම් ඩිරෙක්ටර්ස් ලාගේ නැත්නම් අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරුන්ට තියෙන සියලු තොරතුරු මට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ තොරතුරු මට තියෙන තොරතුරු වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරට තියෙන තොරතුරු වෙන්න පුළුවන්, කාට තියෙන තොරතුරු උනත් අධික සමාගම සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙන තොරතුරු. Information regarding the company, you can't use it unnecessarily and disclose it to everyone else. Don't do it, okay? Because you have a duty to use information in a proper way, okay? So if you are a director, if you have information under your capacity as a director or an employee, right? Otherwise, if those information will not be available to you, you should not disclose that information to different persons. සමාගමේ සේවකයෙක් ලෙස හෝ සමාගමේ අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක් ලෙස ඕගොල්ලන්ට ලැබුණු ඔබලාට ලැබුණු තොරතුරු වේ නම් ඒ තොරතුරු වෙනත් ආකාරයකින් වෙනත් පුද්ගලයෙකුට ලැබිය නොහැකි තොරතුරු වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙකුට ලැබෙන තොරතුරු තියෙනවානේ. ඒ තොරතුරු ලැබෙන්නේ අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයාට විතරයි. මම මෙලින් ඉන්න කෙනෙක්ට මට ඒවා හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ සාමාන්‍යයෙන්. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට කම්පැනි එකක් ඉන්කෝපරේට් කරපු අවුරුද්ද අපිට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් ලේසියෙන්. ඒක හැමෝටම තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඉදිරි මාස කීපෙදී කොහොමද මූල්‍යමය තත්ත්වය වෙන්නේ, ඉදිරි මාස කීපෙදී තියෙන ගිවිසුම් මොනවද කියන එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් මම එළියේ ඉන්න පුද්ගලයෙක් විදිහට මට ඒව තොරතුරු ගන්න බෑ. I am an outsider now. I am not in your company. But since you are in your company, as a result of your post as a director or an employee, you will get some information which I wouldn't get as an outsider. Such information you should not disclose to other people. There are only few reasons under which you can disclose them. Only for the purpose of the company, if it is required by law, right? And according to subsection 2. In other circumstances that the articles would help you to or permit you to do it, right? So be very careful when you are disclosing information. Don't jibber jabber everything, all the information that you get to any person that you encounter. That's not going to work in your favor. So I just thought of giving you an idea about. Now, insolvency is also another important thing. Insolvency is where basically a bankrupt person's assets are lower than the liabilities. So basically the directors, if they think that, okay, our company is not doing well, our company is going to do very bad, it's going to go down the ground, then if you get the implication, when you get the idea, you have to do certain things as a director. So those duties are there in section 219. Okay, right? Okay, so then we are moving on to another question. Another question from your past papers. Okay, I have just rephrased it, right? And full credit to your institution. I am not receiving any credit for these questions. Full credit to your institution, and I am not discussing all of them because, as I told you at the beginning, it's not ethical for us to do things like that without the approval of the institution who prepared this specific paper, right? Ethics is really important, friends. Okay, even for any financial gain or whatever it is, right? Even for good purpose or any purpose as such, don't use things in an unethical way. Okay, that's why I am giving credit to all the persons, all the institutions that invested efforts in getting these things done. All right, that's part of ethics. You need to have ethics because it's very hard to find people with ethics these days, right? Okay, section 57. Now this question asks about the solvency test. Solvency test, very important one. Okay, what is the question? What is meant by the statutory requirement to satisfy the solvency test in relation to a limited liability company? Okay, limited liability company. Now the relevant section, friends, regarding this question would be section number 57 of the Companies Act, number 7 of 2007. All right. So what this section says is that the company will be deemed to have satisfied the solvency test if it is able to pay its debts when they become due in the normal course of business. My company has taken some goods from you on credit. I have to pay it on the 29th of September 2021. If my company can make the payment to you on that date, I am doing okay, right? Because my debt, when they become due, when they become payable, like, okay, when you accept a certain amount of money or goods for credit, it is payable, you have to pay it, right? But there is a date where you have to make the payment. No? So at that point, if you are in a state where you can make the payment, your financial status is in a good state. Okay. Secondly, the value of your company should be greater than the value of the liabilities and the company's stated capital. All right. So this is basically the solvency test. Why is it there? What is the purpose? Now, specifically when it comes to a public limited company, those companies are running, or those companies are run by the investments made by its owners, the shareholders, who would not always actively take part in how the company is run. And on the other hand, there are innocent creditors who have provided finance to the business under various capacities. A banker who has provided a loan. Okay, a debenture holder who has invested in the debentures of the company. Other suppliers who have supplied goods on credit for the company. When you are making decisions as a director, you should not make decisions that does not make sense and jeopardizes the health of the company in terms of its finance as well. Take risks, fine, but don't take unnecessary risks. Okay, sometimes, you know, high risk, high yield investments are there, can be there, but when you are making decisions, it's very important that the solvency test is satisfied. I will read out some statements. When it comes to solvency, okay, when it comes to the solvency test, the board of directors has to ensure that the company satisfies the solvency test when the dividends are paid under section 56. Okay, in terms of redemption of shares under section 63, 64, and 67. Major transactions, very important, under section 185. So likewise, repurchase of shares, reduction of shareholder liability, amalgamations, under all these circumstances, it is essential for the company to satisfy the solvency test. Okay, it's there for the purpose of ensuring protection for creditors and the company affairs, right? So major transactions are, you know, sometimes we get into very important, not important in the sense that very significant transactions. High amount of value is involved. Right? The company assets are 1 million, you are getting into a major transaction worth 50 million, something like that. That's a major transaction. Major transactions are also defined in the act itself, but I don't want to make it too complicated. All right. So even when it comes to solvency, we can also talk about, you know, various types of it. For example, when it comes to balance sheet solvency and trading solvency, we have discussed about it in the test itself. So you have to give an idea about what it is, right? Why it is satisfied, why it should be satisfied. So if you can do it, then basically it's going to get you good marks, right? So think about it, use the solvency test and try to write an answer, and we can have a discussion about this tomorrow as well, right? So I told you, it doesn't matter whether it's going to go past 8 in the evening. If you are comfortable, we can keep on learning. All right. So tomorrow we'll have a very significant discussion as well. Since it's 3 hours, I thought it might be very tiring for you, but I am really happy that all of you are focusing and staying in the session. Very good to see, right? I'm so happy. Right. Next one. What is the law which provides for a citizen to access to certain information in a public authority? This, friends, is also from one of your past papers. This is about right to information. Okay, right to information. Now, the right for information is a beautiful masterpiece which provides us a lot of rights in terms of being informed citizens. Okay, this will not allow you to find out how much money your neighbor has, but in terms of how taxation money is used and how governmental authorities are doing things, they have to be transparent. Okay, governmental authorities are authorities that are there for the purpose of serving the needs of the country, not a politician or the president or the prime minister or the opposition leader, not something like that. It's there for the purpose of doing best things that would get benefits for the country and all the citizens, including you and me. So we have a right to know what's going on. We have a right to know what type of contracts that the government is getting into on behalf of us. If they are saying, oh no, that's not going to work. තොරතුරු දැන ගැනීමේ පනත බොහොම වැදගත් පනතක්. මොකද අපි පුරවැසියන් විදිහට අපේ රටේ සම්බන්ධ දේවල්, රට සම්බන්ධ දේවල්, රට සම්බන්ධ තීරණ ගන්නකොට ඒ තීරණ ගැන දැනුවත් වීමේ අයිතියක් අපිට තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ අයිතිය තවදුරටත් අපිට ලබා දෙනවා මේ ගොඩක් වටින පනතක් මේක තොරතුරු දැන ගැනීමේ පනත. So there were some problems after the 20th Amendment. This was initially introduced to the 19th Amendment, and the separate act is also there, right? So this is the answer for this question. I just wanted to mix things up. That's why I have included it here, right? Okay. So I think we are nearing the time limit that is provided to me. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, no problem. We have a few more areas to cover. Let me give you an idea about last wills and release due. Are you okay with that? It's 8 o'clock at night. If you want to leave, that's fine. You can tell me. If you can let me just discuss about wills, it's a small slide. Okay. If you can just let me talk about last wills, I will be happy to talk about it. If there's no problem from your end, Naveen, if there are any problems, just tell me if there's another webinar going on. But if you're all okay, may I proceed with wills as well and finish that part?
No hurry.
All right. Thank you,
No
Naveen.
hurry.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Okay. So Edward has no problem. I hope the others are also okay with. So I will just give you an idea about wills, and in the tomorrow session, I will start from negotiable instruments. Okay. So last wills, it's a really important thing. So thank you for taking part, and thank you for staying, right, even after age. Wills are really important. Okay. So I have come up with 2 questions. One question is from one of your past papers, right, and the other I have included here. So what is the difference between testate and intestate succession? Okay, so these testamentary cases, there are so many books on that as well, so many cases, very important, right? People, when it comes to their life, we face so many unpredictable things, including death. Okay, sometimes when you are in the correct age, according to the wills ordinance, you can execute, not a person, you can write a last will. In the last will, what will be indicated are the properties that you have and how you want those properties to be divided between different persons. You can donate all your property through a last will to a complete random person even. You have that right. Okay, last will, antima කැමති පත්‍රය, අවසාන කැමති පත්‍රය කියලා කියනවා. මොකද ඒකෙන් පස්සේ ආයි කැමති පත්‍ර නැහැනේ. Right? So basically අපිට දේපල තියෙනකොට අනිත් අයගේ දේපල දෙන්න බෑ. හරිද? දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට එහා ගෙදර එක්කෙනාගේ මේ DVD player එක වගේ එකක් වෙන කෙනෙක්ට දෙන්න කියලා ලියන්න බෑ. එහෙම බෑ. තමන්ගේ දේපල තමන්ට අවශ්‍ය ආකාරයෙන් තමන්ගේ මරණයෙන් පසුව බෙදලා යන විදිහ ගැන අපිට නිශ්චිතව කියන්න පුළුවන්. හරි විදිහට නීත්‍යානුකූලව අවසාන කැමති පත්‍රයක් කරා. අවසන් කැමති පත්‍රයක් කරා. කොඩිසිල් පත්‍රයක් කියලා කියන්නේ අපිට වෙනසක් කරන්න ඕන නම් අපගේ අවසාන කැමති පත්‍රය අපිට වෙනස්කමක් කරන්න, ඒ අවසන් කැමති පත්‍රය වෙනස් කරන්න අපි කරන දේ තමයි කොඩිසිල් පත්‍රයක් කරා තමයි ඒක කරන්නේ. Okay, සමහර ලාවට අවලංගු කරනකොට තනි ගිරකින් කපලා ඩිස්ට්‍රොයි කරලා එහෙම කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. එතන ලොකු ප්‍රොසීඩියර් එකක් නැහැ. ඒකට එතන නෛතික අවශ්‍යතාවයන් කීපයක් තියෙනවා. A will is something that you execute while giving or indicating how your property should be divided between various persons after your death. Okay, so you have to do it in a proper way. Notary should be involved and it should be executed in a proper way. It's really important that you do it correctly. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Akshana, for your kind comment. I hope you have learned something. Okay, don't worry. I will give a small explanation about this tomorrow as well when we start off, right? After discussing this slide, the session is going to be over. Thank you very much for taking part in the session. I hope you have learned something new. And thank you very much for your wonderful comment. We'll surely see you tomorrow as well. All right. Okay. Thank you again, Akshana. Hope to see you tomorrow as well. All right. So here, when it comes to wills, there's a specific way that we have to do it. Now, what do you mean by testate succession? If a certain person dies, leaving a last will, that is a testate succession. If a certain person dies without leaving a last will, that's going to be an intestate succession. Okay. In an intestate succession, how can it be decided as to how your property should be divided? The applicable law will be decided based on your religious observances, things like that as well. Like, for example, usually if you are not a Canadian, Canadian law will not be applicable. If you are a Muslim, Muslim law would be applicable in terms of your intestate succession. If both those laws are not applicable, and if Tesakalame law is also not applicable, then the general matrimonial rights and inheritance ordinance will be applicable to your affairs. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, very good to see you. You're also a lawyer. Right. Thank you, Akshana. Very good. Nice to meet you. All right. Okay. So we have a lawyer here as well to learn about these aspects. Very good to see you here. Right. I hope you have learned something. Right. I'm sure sometimes you might have more knowledge than me, but I hope you have learned something new as well. All right. Okay. So when it comes to last wills, the question is that what is the law that requires that a will, testament, or a codicil shall be in the written form? Now, I told you, when we are doing things, even when it comes to getting into contracts, we can get into contracts in any way that we want, like the written form, oral form, or in the implied form, we can get into contracts. But sometimes there are certain requirements in law which says that you have to get into contracts in specific ways, like when it comes to immovable property. Just like that, when executing a last will, there is a law, friends, which says that a testament or a codicil or a last will should be in the written form. There's a law which says that. Sometimes if you don't know the answer, you might think, okay, wills ordinance. So the answer should be wills ordinance. All right. So you might think like that, but the answer may surprise you. What's the answer? What's the answer? Prevention of frauds ordinance. All right. So I'm getting some questions. All right. Okay. The answer is D. Very good. Right. So you are awesome persons, right? Because you are awesome students. You know the answers, right? So the prevention of frauds ordinance exactly is the answer, section 4, which says that it should be in the written form. Unless otherwise it is in the written form, it may not have any validity, right? And in terms of a notary being present, there are requirements as well. If a notary is not there, right, when the signature is placed, right, then of course it should be done in front of 5 or more witnesses. Very important rules. If you do not comply with these rules, the validity of the testament can be put into question as well. All right. Okay, then. So I have exceeded the time that was allowed for me, right? Sorry about that. And we will discuss about alternate dispute resolution. There are a few things that I have to explain to you, and negotiable instruments. I'm sure you have a lot of insights about that. So there are so many other things that we can consider as well. Condominium properties and things like that. So I will try to detect some questions and discuss them with you tomorrow. All right. So today I was mainly focusing on giving you an idea about what the law is, right? What those things are. All right. So yeah. Right. Okay. Please share your emails with Mr. Naveen through the chat window. I'll see whether we can do it, right? I have no problems in sharing these slides with you because I have got these materials from different persons, different texts, and there are many things that I have prepared as well. So I'll be happy to share those with you, no problems. And Naveen, if I may ask you, just request you, please get the emails, right? So that I can share it with you, right?
Right.
Okay,
so,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shiran, for your time, and I think it's an amazing session. I hope everyone got something throughout this within this 3 hours of time. I think මොනවා හරි දෙයක් ගත්තා නම් මේ පැය තුන ඇතුළත මම හිතන්නේ ඒක තමයි අපේ ඉන්ඩක්ෂන් එක මේක කරපු එකේ. I think as Harsha told me, all of your emails IDs are with me. When you registered, you entered the email into our registered to our portal. So I will send the slides to you as soon as possible, and see you guys on tomorrow at the same time at 5 p.m. And Shiran, thanks a lot again for your valuable time.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you all, and stay safe. Good night, everyone. Bye.